Today's rebuild is of our long-awaited main channel Madden 24 franchise team, the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, with a healthy Kyler Murray and a stud rookie wide receiver in Marvin Harrison Jr., are cautiously optimistic about the beginning of their franchise rebuild. But to go on and win a Super Bowl, they still need a lot of work. So today, we end up drafting the greatest Madden 24 wide receiver prospect of all time to pair that with Marvin Harrison Jr. to build truly a game-breaking offense, the best offense we've ever had in any rebuild. And maybe that is enough to finally bring a Super Bowl to Arizona. Take a look at our draft class here for the Arizona Cardinals. Great, at least in the eyes of Bengals Madden 24 draft class for 2024. As we got Taylor Demerson in the 6th round, 71, which is great rating. Xavier Thomas and Christian Jones. Not the best rating, but I mean somewhat upside. I believe both these guys were 5-star recruits coming out of high school. I know Thomas was for sure. You get the Canadian Isaiah Adams, who I'm probably going to start sooner than later just because of Canadian bias. You get Tip Ryman, the tight end from Illinois. Not a lot of production, but then he just went off and tested nuclear at the combine. Big-time athlete, blocker, so compliments what we have in Trey McBride. Elijah Jones was one of the best ball hawk corners out of Boston College, coming off 5 interceptions last year. Jumped to the gym, had an impressive combine. You got Trey Benson, who many regard as the top running back in this year's draft class. They got him in the 3rd round. Not only to get him in the 3rd round, he also pulls a hidden dev trait, which is going to be huge, and likely he will be our running back 1 here in his rookie campaign. You got the athletic Max Melton, who the rating's not bad, but only a normal dev trait for him, but athletically speaking, pretty good. We have a lack of depth at corner, so a pretty easy path for him to start sooner than later. We have Darius Robinson at the end. They had 2 first-round picks. Unfortunately, he did not pull a dev trait, but not a brutal base rating as well, as he's going to be a versatile player on the front of Jonathan Gannon's defensive line. But yeah, Maserati Marvin Harrison Jr., hidden dev, 20 years old, 81 overall, as good of a wide receiver prospect if we've seen in a very long time. I mean, you know, there's got to be comparisons. We're going to talk about, you know, Jamar Chase was super hyped up, and you go before that, like, I don't know. I think he's going to stand on his own merit. He's in the conversation of literally any wide receiver that's been hyped. Julio Jones, Calvin Johnson, all these guys, Marvin Harrison. He is in that area code. Very excited to see what he does in his rookie campaign. But he is absolutely going to be our go-to wide receiver 1 for Kyler Murray. And we got Marvin Harrison Jr. already turning heads in his first training camp. So many people are going to say, can he possibly live up to the hype to be the go-to? I mean, you look at the receiving core here of the Cardinals, and it is, it's rough, and we're going to need him to be that 1,000-yard guy right out the gate. Speaking on our lack of depth, we do have Zach Pascal, who's solid, does the dirty work, wide receiver. Michael Wilson, the 2nd-year player out of Stanford, is honestly going to have to step up. He's going to start for us, normal dev, look pretty good and limited, dude. I think he's going to be probably our slot. Between him and Greg Dortch, we got to make that decision, but happy that we can have Zach Pascal, take him under his wing, get him +2 release and short route running. So now the draft has settled, and what was kind of an uninspiring free agency for the Arizona Cardinals. This is what our roster looks like going into year number 1. We're going to rely heavily on our rookies, as Isaiah Adams is going to start at guard, Trey Benson is going to start at running back, Marvin Harrison Jr. as our our wide receiver number 1. 2nd-year tackle, Paris Johnson Jr. Very high ceiling for an offensive line that's meh. You know, they got Jonah Williams, who was a former first-round pick, but never really found his footing in the NFL. So I just think, generally speaking, a lot of work still needs to be done on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think we have much of a wide receiver room outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. Unless we can get a dev trait, Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, could be good role players, but unless they do get that depth trait, they're just going to have very limited ceilings that I don't know if it's going to be worth the, you know, attention to try and grow and develop them. I think Trey McBride, however, at that tight end spot, he might not be Marcus House. If you know, you know, but he's a damn good tight end. He was the Mackey winner, the best tight end in college. Still was, like, underrated throughout the draft process. Goes to Arizona, finally pops off last season, and full expectations. He needs to be our 2nd go-to receiver after Marvin Harrison Jr. A bizarre trade has us Desmond Ridder on the roster. I can't believe they gave up Rondale Moore. I get from I have a personal attachment from a Madden perspective because Arizona was our main channel franchise for Madden 24. And Rondale Moore was a beast for us. But I still think even in real life, this trade makes no freaking sense. You could do better for backup quarterback than Desmond Ridder if you're worried about the availability of Kyler Murray without having to give up a guy that clearly, Madden or not, would be your wide receiver too after Marvin Harrison Jr. And a bona fide electrifying athlete that they just don't have right now. It's brutal. But we have Kyler Murray at quarterback, and I am very much in the segment. There's people that think Kyler Murray's washed, or there's people that think if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a special player. And I am siding more towards that direction, where a healthy Kyler Murray with a great supporting cast in Arizona, that's going to be an outstanding spot to be. 77 star dev, only 27 years old. Now I say only. He's not old, but in the context of a 10-year rebuild, he's kind of old. He's kind of expensive. Very interesting how we handle this, how we handle the quarterback spot, but we're going to probably at least run Kyler Murray till the wheels fall off. I don't think there's going to be a situation where we're going to want to try to trade him, even though I do think there's likely a market for him on the trade block. But I think a healthy Kyler Murray with a great supporting cast is something I want to see. Now, the problem is we don't really have that great supporting cast just yet. I think we need maybe a piece or two on the offensive line. I think we need at least another wide receiver. So it's probably going to be year 2, maybe even year 3, depending on how our draft and free agency goes this upcoming offseason, to kind of have that supporting cast so we feel good about Kyler Murray. Defensively, well, you got a defensive-minded head coach. So you hope he can make the most out of a roster that's, a work in progress. On the defense, they got Nichols and Jones in free agency. Both of them have a star dev in Madden, so that's not too bad. We have Robinson, who's going to kind of be a hybrid player, move inside and outside, I believe. You have Ojulari, who was an absolute god for us in our Cardinals franchise mode, getting 30-some sacks in a single season. Absolute beast. If he could even get a quarter of what he was for us in our Madden franchise, which was a 99 finesse X factor, best pass rusher in the league, we'll be very happy. Linebacker core, we have Xavier Collins, Kaiser White, and Owen Papo. We're going to give Owen Papo an opportunity here just because he's our dude, and I would love to see him kind of be a little development sleeper for us. We have Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson at safety, really solid. Murphy Bunting was signed in free agency. You have Max Melton. You have Garrett Williams, who I think is a nice nickel. Mitch Jones there, and Keitrell Clark. So you got some bodies here, but I think kind of like the corner room reminds me of the wide receiver room. There's some guys that are definitely could catch on and be role players to do their job in the NFL and be good starters for us. But as long as they have all these bronze players, the ceiling, the justification to continue to develop these guys, that's a battle. That's a battle you're going to play because you're not going to want to stay with a guy that just won't go up depth trait for too long. And I'm a little bit concerned with our wide receiver room, with our corner room on that front. But overall, this is a hell of a rebuild. A lot of work needs to be done. A lot of exciting pieces added through the draft. Let's see if over the next 10 seasons we could turn around for the Cardinals, get their first Super Bowl, and turn them into a dynasty. Chicago Bears showing respect on Marvin Harrison Jr., putting Jalen Johnson on him, and it's not enough. He puts it into second gear, outruns Jaquan Brisker, and Marvin Harrison Jr., superstar in the making. A nice little slants opportunity, and you know who we want to go to. Oh my God, big pressure off the outside, and John Grenard. Down to the Chicago Bears. Not really where we want to be. You know where we want to get to here. Man, oh man, they are just... Oh. Damn it. Big time sack, Montez, but that's fine. Just getting more yards for Marvin Harrison Jr. Look at that. Go to Kyler Murray. Don't look at anybody else. Find our dude. Get it to him. And the lead back with the Cardinals. Ends up being a very tough victory, but a victory nonetheless, 41-35. 290 yards, 3 touchdowns for Kyler Murray, 95 yards for Trey Benson, but an outstanding 7-catch, 157-yard, 2-touchdown performance from Marvin Harrison Jr. So just roughly the midway point, definitely ahead of schedule. 6-3 for the Arizona Cardinals, sitting atop a very competitive NFC West where one win separates us first or last, but 6-3. I would say, at best, Arizona on paper next year, unless Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. go nuclear together, which there is a chance. 500 is probably about where Arizona could be, but we will take this hot start, Week 10, before we go to the road against a good 5-3 Dolphins. We have a breakout defensive lineman, and it's our first-round pick that got a little bit of a rough roll of a normal dev, Darius Robinson out of Mizzou. He has a good game, or at least our defense has a good game, gets him up to a star dev, which would be huge. Unfortunately, we get smoked by the Dolphins, 40-17, but I will take a silver lining if we get the dev trade on Darius Robinson, which we do, plus 10k XP. Unfortunately, back-to-back losses, wheels are potentially falling off a little bit, but 6-5 offensively, elite defensively, hell, not great. Jonathan Gannon, come on, buddy. You're a defensive head coach, so very short leash anyways for what he did with my Philadelphia Eagles. And, if it plays like this, I'll give him one more year. But if it's like this next year, we're going to be moving on. And we're going to be probably bringing in the great Hugh Jassel to come in and see if we can turn things around. Looking at some contracts, well, the good thing about the state of our roster, not a lot of big-time money committed to players. So we have a $113 million of salary cap, where we got Dennis Gardeck, a.k.a. the White Lawrence Taylor. Probably time to move on there. Kaiser White's kind of at his ceiling. Same with Will Hernandez. But you know what? Hernandez on a 2-year. I don't hate that just because he's not going to regress, I don't think. So we have like around an 80 guard for the next 2 seasons. One less position you have to worry about. Chris Barnes does have the dev trade at linebacker, but I do think a limited ceiling. I don't want to pay both. And, Zaven Collins, if I have to pay one, would be the most likely. So 4 years, 28. Probably can get him 4 years, 29. So we'll come back to the table. Buda Baker, this is just, in the area of we just have so much money. Let's keep some good players here. Could trade him. I mean, that's kind of the big talk here is, should we be fire sale mode with the limited good players we have here in Arizona? Like, that is approach we've taken in some of these 10-year rebuilds. It's just like, all right, let's dump some of our talent when we can. But I actually think the Cardinals roster is so barren of any talent, even the veterans, even the guys that would be top trade, like, it's worth keeping them here because our team would be so bad without them, and we're not going to get the draft pick compensation in return. That's really going to aid our rebuild. All right, fortunately, it's another loss, bringing us to 6-6. Maybe I shouldn't have jinxed this team by saying 5. But we do have another breakout scenario, which is on the defensive backside. It is Max Melton, who I think was a 2nd round, if not 3rd round pick. But he's one of those normal devs. That would be really, really huge for a young rookie to gain a dev trade in the same footsteps as Darius Robinson did a couple weeks ago. We get a pretty big upset. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, honestly, what the expectations of the Bills are. Given that's an upset. There's no way about it. That's still an upset. Maybe the Bills aren't going to be as good, as respected they have been maybe the last 2-3 years, but they're still damn good. And the Cardinals beating them to go and tied for first in the division ain't bad. Did we also get the breakout for Melton? Unfortunately, we did not. And I'll be honest, I would trade a loss against the Bills for a dev trade for Melton, but it is what it is. At the end of year 1, I mean, again, kind of in line with where I think the Cardinals, at best, is kind of going to fall. 8-9, 9-8. Everyone else in the West was good, which is annoying, but I mean, everyone else in the West is definitely a different roster at a different point in time of the rebuild than the Cardinals are. So, I mean, I think we kind of tracked well. The defense stepped up a little bit. We kind of put the brakes on Jonathan Gannon there at the midway point, saying our defense sucks. And then finished on the top 10 pass defense, which, given our talent, not bad. And offensively, can't be disappointed with those numbers. Almost a top 10 rushing offense, top 10 passing offense, top 5 in points scored. Looking at the dev traits, Trey Benson, star dev, Marvin Harrison Jr., X Factor out the gate. Was there any doubt whatsoever? Absolute stud. Deserve it. Like, I think the question is going to be in Madden 25. You got to have an X Factor out the gate. I'm going to guess they'll probably just give him a superstar, just kind of knowing how the ratings have gone over the last couple of years, but still very happy with that. Darius Robinson was normal dev, and he goes up to a star, earning that in season. Unfortunately, we had no other dev trait scenarios that hit. Would have loved to see that for Max Melton again, especially looking at that corner room, having another player with a dev trait, especially a guy that's a rookie that has that high ceiling, would be badass. But ultimately, still happy where the roster's at. Really happy Marvin Harrison Jr. is an X factor and like not a superstar. Look at the yearly awards. MVP Kyler Murray makes the short list. Holy shit. He kind of crushed it. Top 10 in passing yards, top 5 in touchdowns. Interceptions, that's way too many. Those interceptions might cost him a superstar def. I think if you eliminate that and you just look at yards and touchdowns, Kyler Murray is getting a dev trade up from star to superstar. Those 19 picks, however, that is a rough sell. I mean, you look at the rushing numbers, he also has another 7 rushing touchdowns, so well over 40, 400 yards. He might. I'm going to say the rushing numbers might offset some of the interceptions a little bit in the eyes of the game and give him a nice little roll of dev trade. 12 and 7 for Trey Benson. Love seeing that as well for the rookie running back out of Florida State. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Marvin Harrison Jr. That is our last award winner, but he goes off 78 catches, almost 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, 9, almost, and again, almost 1,000 for Michael Wilson, 9 touchdowns, almost 8 and 5 for Trey McBride. You love seeing that. 8 touchdowns from Greg Dortch. So, imagine, no disrespect to Dortch or Wilson. Maybe Wilson gets that started. That'd be cool to get him off normal, but we get guys a little bit higher upside. Like, I don't know what the ceiling of this offense is. I'm intrigued. I'll leave it at that. Defensively, Kaiser White, 115 tackles, 4 TFLs, 4.5 sacks, 3 picks. Really productive. We got 7.5 sacks, 19 TFLs for the rookie Darius Robinson. Not quite our franchise numbers for Ojulari, but again, he was like, a 73 overall player, getting us 62 tackles, 10 TFLs, 6.5 sacks. Ain't mad at that. 81 tackles, 5.5 sacks, David Collins, 5 sacks for Cam Thomas. And I'm happy with those numbers. Buda Baker, 2 picks. Max Melton, 2 picks. 2 for Jalen Thompson, a couple singles there. Given the ratings, not bad at all. All right, so free agency didn't go our way. I don't even want to talk about it. Let's just say I went for 3 guys, missed all 3 guys. We don't need to roast them. They might be JOK. They might be Eric Stokes. But I decided rather than just rage at my own free agency, we're just going to go right to the draft. We're picking at pick 14. And looking at our squad, we need plenty of help. There's a lot of variance to where we could go with this pick. Definitely looking at like an interior lineman and or a tackle could be a big get. I actually think the tackles that are on the market might very well be BPA. Wide receiver, but wide receivers tend to fall. And I think we're going to be out, like Luther Burden went off the board. Like that would have been a big dog pairing Luther Burden with Marvin Harrison Jr. That would be insane. We could look at corner. We could look at D tackle. We could throw a linebacker in here potentially, but also I'm totally fine with like a full year of Papo starting with Zaven Collins and just committing to that development. But a lot of different ways we can go, and we very much are going to be in a BPA scenario of all these multiple positions that we need. I do think tackle might be the biggest need, and Will Campbell, a projected top 5 pick, is still on the board. Kelvin Banks, who's also an absolute dog, still on the board. Cornelius, who I scouted thinking he was going to be the only guy available, is also still on the board. D-tackle Walker from Kentucky, who's a freak of nature, 6'6", 350, and can rush the passer. Well, he's still a run defender, but he has some upside there. Also, an absolute dog. Wide receivers. Ibuka. I mean, I don't think we've used him yet in any of our rebuilds. He's a dog out of Ohio State. But I'm thinking, kind of looking at the board, I think we go tackle. I think we go right tackle, and we go the right tackle that we've never used before. And that is Will Campbell, 6'6", 325 out of LSU. Between Paris Johnson Jr. and Will Campbell, we pretty much have our tackles locked up for this rebuild. Or, if we don't want to go Papo, the top inside off-ball linebacker still on the board. Barrett Carter out of Clemson. A-zone coverage, B-block shed. Athletically, pretty good. 4.55. Bench press, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. Looks solid. Vertical jump, pretty good. Why not? Gamble on the dev trade. We get the dev trade. That's garbage. That was my next target. Need a center. Brailsford was a 3rd-round pick. Thought he'd be there. Goes right before we picked to the Jags. And I think that has kind of swallowed up the centers worth drafting at this spot. Still got Clay Webb. Tate Ratledge. Got some guards there. But, that's a brutal one. We look at the wideouts that are still available. We got Nick Anderson. Pretty good from Oklahoma. 6'4", 210. Tez Johnson, a little bit more speed option. The wide receivers are kind of drying up here a little bit. Anderson, 6'4", A catching traffic, B catching, 4.45, broad jump, bench press, pretty good. Straight line speed. I don't know. Kind of a mulligan pick here. But he should still be 70+. Could compete for wide receiver 3. All right, need a center. We're going to cash in the A pass block that we're getting on Jake Slaughter out of Florida. No dev traits. Should be, again, probably a 70-plus player, at least close to that. So after not spending in free agency, wasn't like a crazy good free agency class. We had to improve a roster that drastically needed improving in the draft. And look at that. Every player outside of one is a 70-plus. We got a new kicker in Auburn, 72 normal. Rivers, 68 normal. Slaughter, 70 normal. Anderson, 72 normal. And we get our 2 hidden devs. One in Barrett Carter, who's going to be a day 1 starter for us. And one in Will Campbell, who's going to slide over to the right-hand side and protect all things Kyler Murray. Nice little roll here in our second offseason is B.J. Ojulari. He's the breakout player from training camp. We need him to step up his pass rush, so +3 for his power and finesse move. Hopefully helps him challenge to get double-digit sacks this season. And before the season, our corner room is down bad a little bit. So we are sending Desmond Ridder to the Commanders. 73, dev trait, quarterback. They're the only team that, when I just went to see which teams were interested, that even offered a remotely interesting offer. They're throwing a 4th-round pick and a wide receiver. And I was like, well, I want a corner. And I looked through their corner room. They got Benford. He's on a 1 year, so he's in a contract year. I think that's why this trade got accepted so easily. But still, 24 years old, 6'1", 79 rating. We have more than enough salary cap to pay him. Hopefully puts himself in a situation this year as an outright starter, which he wasn't for the Commanders, and can earn himself a dev trade. All right, so at the midway point of year number 2, 3 and 4, second in the division. Not exactly where we want to be, but again, how big of a jump did we make from year 1 to year 2 with a non-existent free agency spot? Draft was good, but it takes a minute for those rookies to catch up to speed. Offensively, we're crushing it. Top 10 in pretty much every ranking, second in points. The defense is continuing to struggle. So I do think we might have a decision to make about the future of our head coach at the end of the season. But the big dub already is our 1st-round pick. Will Campbell is a superstar dev at that tackle spot. So that is a gigantic dub for the boys. Looking at our contracts, $97 million. So we have plenty of money to throw around if we want to, helped by a kind of non-existent free agency period. We have Christian Benford, who just made the trade for. I have every intention of re-signing him, and I think we throw him a 5-year deal, $24 million. Very cheap, very affordable, and we get him till he's, pretty much the rest of his prime. Jalen Thompson, really serviceable safety. He's looking for a 3-year deal. And we bumped it up just a little bit to get over the line. 3-year, $28 million. Gets him locked in, him, Budda Baker. Definitely a strength of this team. And finally, we have Trey McBride at tight end. Performed well last year. Don't know if, again, new coach could change the offense a little bit. But as it stands right now, he's getting involved in the offense enough so that he's like our 3rd to 2nd receiver, which he needs to be as one of our big-time playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm thinking we go up to a player-friendly 5-year. Yeah, could go 6. Maybe save a little bucks if we go 6 year, keep him till he's 31. We got ourselves a breakout on the D-line. 4 and 5, so we're kind of winning one, losing one. But it is for Ojulari, our breakout during training camp. Looking to make a jump from star up to a superstar with a great performance and or team performance against the Houston Texans. Very tough offense, though. Unfortunately, we fall. 24-7 wasn't that competitive, and we miss the breakout. Not great vibes right now for the Cardinals here in year 2. As we close out year number 2, yep. He gone. Outside of just terrible coach and terrible defense, offensively, we've been playing well. Kyler Murray makes the MVP shortlist again. Marvin Harrison Jr. in the top 3 of Offensive Player of the Year. And we generally just put up big-time numbers. Top 5 in touchdowns and yards for Kyler Murray. Interceptions still pretty high. I don't really know how much we could change that outside of, continue maybe to land a big-time wide receiver. That is going to be a big need for us if one is available in the draft. But Kyler's playing well. Benson's doing his job. 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. Kyler's giving us some production on the ground. Marvin Harrison Jr. is an absolute beast. 81 catches, 1,400 yards, 17 touchdowns. 7-2 for the rookie Nick Anderson. 7-5 for Trey McBride. Good numbers for a tight end. 7-3 for Michael Wilson. On the defensive side, Barrett Carter as a rookie, 136 tackles, 4 TFLs, and a sack. He was 3rd, however, in Defensive Rookie of the Year voting, which is a little surprising. Darius Robinson, 1st-round pick last year, 17 TFLs, 11.5 sacks, 12-7 from Ojulari. Fine, but generally for a very underperforming defense, happy with the pass rush numbers. Budda Baker with 3 picks, ain't too bad. But ultimately, we need a fresh new look on this defense. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We have brought in Lou Sassol III to come in and be our new head coach. Offensively, I think our offense pretty good. You know, not 100% sold on it yet, but it's facilitating Marvin Harrison to go off. Our tight end is playing well. And I would make the argument, we got to see what happens. We got to get like a legit wide receiver too, like a guy that's either a dev trait guy to see if, you know, can we get 2,000-yard receivers? That's kind of the target goal. The rushing numbers are good. Kyler Murray, outside of interceptions, pretty good. So I have no issues with the offense. Defensively, however, get out of here. I want to do something different. Usually we can get an opportunity to swing at the Bills defense, which has arguably been my favorite for a minute. However, I think another interesting one is Cleveland. Pretty good. You have a good pass rusher. You start to get a little of that Myles Garrett. I've seen D tackles and D ends get 20-plus sacks in a Browns team. Their corners can get a bunch of turnovers in a Browns scheme. I've seen Newsome and Greg Ward pop off and safeties get picked. So we're going to try here with Cleveland Browns defense if that's the magic, the secret sauce to put it all together here in Arizona. Because if our defense even just improves a little bit, our offense is a playoff caliber offense. Our defense just can't be a liability. In closing, looking at our roster, we do get the superstar jump up in Kyler Murray, which is good because he's pretty much at his ceiling and likely will lose that dev trade inevitably at some point over the next season just because of his age. So we'll appreciate and embrace the superstar dev while we have it. Other than that, though, I mean, the huge dev trade of Will Campbell, our first-round pick, being a superstar. No one else going up or down on the offensive side. Same with defense. We have Barrett Carter was our hidden dev pick at linebacker. He is just a star dev. No dev traits gained. And now Bilal Nichols and Jones, both who were star when we started this rebuild, have regressed down to normal, which puts a little bit of emphasis, especially in the draft, where usually there's a plethora of D tackles. As long as you can find them, we might need to draft one early. Honestly, just another brutal free agency. We need D tackles. I can't even find 3-4 D ends that we could kick in to D tackle. That would be interesting. We need wide receivers. Oh, what's the wide receiver market look like? Butt cheeks. Very low ceiling players at best, if not outright veterans. Good if you need tight ends with Kittle and Kelsey of the open market, but we're fine there. So it's another free agency spot. We're just going to roll over our insane salary cap until we get a good roll. Now, as you look towards the draft, we don't have a late round pick, so we're going to be able to be aggressive if we want to, and it's not going to be absolutely absurd to trade up, potentially, as we hold pick number 9. And we're not going Dwayne Connor out of Washington State. We need wide receivers. We said we got to get another guy on the outside of Marvin Harrison. What would that look like? Well, we got 2 top 5 projected wide receivers. One, we have Nelson Ross. B catching traffic, A catching, A deep route running, B release, 5'11", 4.42. Elite acceleration, agility, good grades, and everything else. This guy is high 70s. However, look at this thing. And I use thing in pure admiration. Carlos Burris, 6'6", 230, top 5 in talent, A catching, A deep route running, A release, B catching traffic. This is the first time I look at the combine. I hope we're smitten. There's a chance it sucks. Yep, you're mine. And it makes the jump up 6 spots. But this is an expensive 6 because we're from 9 to go up to 3. So we're trying to trade within the top 5. One off a trade value chart, setting our 1st and 4th this year and our 1st round next year. And I would do that every day of the week to get an absolute, like, if this guy is what we think he's going to be. And let's be honest, I don't think I've seen a player built like this that are like 2nd, 3rd round. Like, I remember if you did the start today, you were getting this like big wide receiver out of Iowa because every draft class was the exact same. But he was like a 2nd, 3rd round pick, normal def. I have never seen in any of our, you can go back to every reel. I've never had at least even remotely an opportunity like this to get a guy that's like this insane build with the ratings and the combine. Acceleration could be better, but at 6'6", 230, he's like Nick Harbor, but outstanding wide receiver. So Carlos Burris to play on the other side of Marvin Harrison Jr. to create arguably the greatest 1-2 punch. I'm already thinking at the top of my head And I will do this very quickly. If this does not work out, like if this guy, we're hyping it up, but if this guy is S tier, looks like he should be generational, and it's not, I will get Minnesota Vikings offense so we can have that Addison Jefferson, two guys that absolutely dominate. Carlos Burris, welcome to the NFL. 6'6", 230, 96 speed, 99 jump. Oh my God. Oh my God. What are they? A awareness, A deep route running, A run block, A spec catch, A carry, A catching, A release, A stiff arm. This guy, and you got to fix the number. So going back to our team needs, Ron Howard at D tackle looks, probably the best nose tackle cheese, but we're getting the A power move, and he's that unique build where he doesn't have I would love to have him see the number 1 bench press, but he still pulls in elite speed, and he has elite acceleration. So he's going to be one of these freak nose tackles that has like 85 acceleration, which just is absolutely insane. But I'm very confident we'll be able to get him in the 3rd round. So if we don't want to go that, we need 2 D tackles, to be honest with you. Chris Callaway looks pretty solid. Elite strength, elite acceleration as well. A little bit of a different build with the B finesse move. We have B power move on Deshaun Michaels. Hit that sweet chin music if you need. Combine also pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of stalling for time because I have no idea really where I want to go. Could go corner. Do we have a good corner roll? 3 Bs here on Cliff Hayes. 6'3" as well. If you got 4.3 speed, I could be inside. He does have 4.3 speed. Fastest 40-yard dash time. That could be a pretty good. I think we go that guy. Ooh, look at this. Jose Seymour, A press, B zone, B catching. 6'1". That guy looks sick as well. I think there's a way we can get all 3 of these guys. So I think we go. Again, we're just stalling here. I should have looked beforehand so I could come in with a clear direction of where I want to go with this. Honestly, best pick still might be this wide receiver we scouted, just in case we didn't trade up. You got Andrew Shepard, A3B, 6'5", 225, ran a 4'5", 41-inch vert. Insane. You don't need 3 wide receivers. There's no way. I know schemes and systems that we can go get. That'd be Gucci for 2. I think I'm going to be able to find a way for our 2 guys to coexist with that Vikings playbook. But outside of that, what do we have here at guard? Doug Booth, double Bs. If he has a really high bench press, again, it's not. You want to look for elite strength on your guards here, and did not get that elite strength roll that you would love. Dalton Nash could have, B pass block. Again, a little bit low on the man. I think we go here. We handle our business here. We go corner. Hopefully, we can get both corners. Hopefully, we can get do tackle. And fuck. Actually, pretty lucky that Ron Howard is still on the board here in the 3rd round. Highest projected D tackle. Please, dev trait. God damn it. I guess there's acceleration to a T. So I'm going to trade the remainder of our draft because my draft board is shot to get up into the 4th round so we can go get that corner. Starting to be a little bit of a run on corners. We had the 9th pick in the 5th round, so there was a slight chance that we could stay put. But given how my board is completely shot, and I really just, let's appreciate our scouting. And this guy should be good. Hopefully not another, high-rating normal dev player. We need guys with dev traits that have high ceilings, and Seymour's a beast. Let's go. All right, let's all sit here and enjoy this together. I have no idea what this guy's rating is. It should be 83, 84, 85, 86, 87. I hope it's something crazy, but as long as it's 80 plus, I'll be pretty happy with it. 83, let's go. Haynes, 76. Howard, 74. Double normals, but I love the rating. 69, but a dev trait on Seymour. And Burris, 83. Now, I've seen wide receivers with higher ratings. It needs to be said. I think I've seen, personally, I think we've got like an 86, 85, 86 at wide receiver. But, I remember, that guy was like a Deebo Samuel guy, 5'11", 215. Didn't have these measurables. Did not have this unique build. 96 speed, 90 acceleration, 86 catching, 92 spec, 99 jumping, 91 agility at that frame and size. 86 change of direction, spin moves off the charts. God freaking damn. It needs to be said, I wanted to confirm that he was the best player in this draft class, but there were some studs. The other corner, Nelson Ross, 80, the number 1 overall pick for the Browns, getting themselves an 80 pass rusher to go on the other side of Myles Garrett. Not too bad. A couple 79s. Like, it's a great class. Now, I do, just because they were both top 5 talents, so we know what we're dealing with. Nelson Ross, again, just like a little bit crisper of a route runner, but other than that, not a whole lot. But let's see the dev trade here. Because if he's like an X Factor, then I'm a little worried, because what are the odds there's 2 X Factors? But if he's a star dev, that's superstar, not bad. I would say, like, you know, the only way this ends up being a pain in the ass is if Burris is like a star dev somehow, which I think that's pretty much impossible. I'm not messing around. Our offensive scheme, the Arizona Cardinals, is West Coast zone run, so I'm not changing that at all. But we have a very unique opportunity here to just have the most insane passing offense of all time. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and go with a tried, tested, and true playbook for 2 guys to eat. And this freak of nature, first practice, we're like, all right, can you live up to the hype? Can you possibly live up to the hype? And he's like, I'm just going to get a gold medal with time to spare, not even cheese the short route, even though we can, even though he will. He's like, how has anyone ever got, what did Marvin Harrison Jr. get in his first, he barely got 10K on his points. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get 7,000 more and almost double them. And then we are now here in year 3. Look at that, 5-2. Rams are really good. This is actually, let's sim this one. This is a huge one. Sitting atop the NFC West. Love to see our offense on full display. They do not show up. But look at the rankings. Passing offense, very good. Defense, a lot better than what it was a year ago. Especially given the fact that, like, all we really did was change the scheme. Haven't got that huge impact playmaker or 2 on the defense quite yet, but happy to be 5-3. Let's look at some contracts. With $106 million. I think we can get younger, even though Will Hernandez is a starter at that guard spot. Oh, man. Papo is playing right now. How well is he looking? What's he doing? 52. I feel like he might go a dev trade. If Papo gets a star dev, we're going to probably want to try to continue that development. So let's see if we can give him a 2-year deal, try to continue the development there, and if he rolls a dev trade, he can get a second contract. I signed Keaton Mitchell right before the start of the season because we only had Trey Benson on the roster. Great player. Love the dynamic ability that he can bring. Just, you know, I don't think we need to invest any more money in that running back spot because my plan is to pay Trey Benson. So we want Benson and then just dirt cheap rookies outside of that. Ojulari, it's been solid. I think we try to resign him. He's like 24, 7, 28, 29. I think we can continue in his growth and development. Now, it's a little bit expensive for the production that we've got, so we're gambling that his best football's ahead of him. Oh, yeah, for the sickos out there, I am working on him as a playmaker, which has cost us, actually, he'd probably be an 88 if I was just pumping it right into his top ability. But Burris is that dude. So, unfortunately, to close out year 3, we equal our year 1 record of 8-9. And the rankings are, I mean, somehow the offense finished worse overall than it did last year. Our defense is slightly improved, but again, it's a first-year thing. New head coach, new OC, new DC, new team. I was expecting year 3 can be a mulligan year. Now, it is annoying that we weren't a little bit better because we don't have a first-round pick, so it's usually when I do make these trades, I'd like to crush it so that first-round pick ends up being closer to a second-round pick than it is a pick closer to top 10, which unfortunately that is the case for us here today. It also sucks when you see Dak Prescott going for 54 touchdowns. So outside of that, Kyler Murray still playing pretty well, making the MVP shortlist for the 3rd straight season. We also have offensively some of our dogs. Burris, the rookie, on the Offensive Player of the Year shortlist, which you love to see. We got Carlos Burris, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year going to D-tackle Ron Howard. And look at our individual stats, 4,400 yards, 32 touchdowns, 9 picks for Kyler Murray, which should be enough to at least maintain his superstar dev trait. Under 1,000 for Benson, 12 touchdowns, as I do think our offense is clearly going to be shifting away from running the football and force-feeding our absolute monsters. Where Carlos Burris, 87 catches, almost 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, 108 catches, 1,300 yards, 9 tutties for Marvin Harrison Jr. Wilson got after it. McBride got after it. This is exactly what we want to see as far as the passing offense is concerned. And I'm glad we re-signed Papo. That should be a dev trait to get him off normal. 134 tackles, 6 TFLs, $132 for Barrett Carter as well. 11.5 sacks for Darius Robinson, 6.5, 14 TFLs for the reigning defending Rookie of the Year in Ron Howard, which should get him off that normal dev as well. Ojulari is probably the biggest disappointment considering the contract we just gave him. He is going to have to step up and play a lot better. 5 picks for Jalen Thompson. Shout out to him. Also, I want to see Seymour, our dev trait, late round pick at corner. I was kind of hoping for a superstar. I'll take a star. And take a look at our dev traits on the offensive side of the ball. Everyone just maintained. No dev trait increases, and I just love the fact that we get these two freaks of nature at wide receiver. On the defensive side of the ball, Jalen Thompson coming off 5 picks, makes a jump from star up to superstar. Owen Papo is a tackle machine, is now a star dev as well. I thought maybe a shot Darius Robinson can go up dev trait. He is, very consistent, double-digit sacks, but unfortunately not. We lost a dev on Murphy Bunting, which sucks, but phasing him out as an older player. So looking at the fifth-year options, we're actually not taking a $40 million option on a wide receiver. So we're going to get him to a long-term extension. I will pick up the fifth-year option on Darius Robinson. $15 million is pretty reasonable. So going into free agency, we had a lot of money, an insane amount of money really for, already having Kyler Murray on a franchise quarterback contract. We still had $120 million. You went, whoa, we only have 83 at the top corner. Let's see what's going on. Well, we needed a guard, which you could probably find a good one there in the draft, second, third round, somewhere in that range. But after a guard, we need a D tackle. And we arguably have a D tackle on our roster. And Darius Robinson has been a great player for us. He's been our best pass rusher. He's like 295. So he's a really, really big 4-3 D end. It could work. But easily can switch inside and be a 4-3 defensive tackle, which is what we did. So instead of finding a D tackle, we moved a D tackle on our roster, which opened up a spot at pass rush. Yep. Yeah, we did something. Aiden Hutchinson, now a member of the Cardinals. And if this guy can't help us solve our defense, I don't know who will. But unfortunately, don't have a first-round pick. Had to wait till the 14th selection of the second round to go out and get ourselves an impact playmaker. For our squad, I would say for our squad, honestly, if there's a really good safety, our safety's Buda Baker's not getting any younger. And the fact that we got 2 man coverage looking safeties in the second round. 6'1", 211 for Bradley Meeks. Combine, not the best, not the worst. Tremaine Streets, also B-man coverage. Combine, okay, I'm kind of seeing why they're slipping there a little bit. Both those guys could be good, probably in the 70s. Don't know if there's a dev trait in them, which we kind of need dev traits right now. Ooh, we get a really good corner still on the board in Jamal Monroe. Rayshawn Carroll has great ratings as well. Because, I kind of group in all the DBs together. But for me to not go for we have a gigantic right guard hole right now. We need a starting right guard. Our liability would be our right guard. But this guy, Jamal Monroe, elite acceleration, 4.3 speed, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle, kind of exactly where you want it. Very interesting. But we need a guard. I did my scouting on guards. Glenn Bass looks like a stud. I'm going to assume the bench press probably sucks because the letter grade's so good. But if he is like 32, 33 plus, he's 30. It's not bad. Solid strength, though. Definitely on the weaker side. Letter grade's real good. I scouted this center because he had A pass block. Of course, D run block, kind of butt cheeks. Combine pretty good. I mean, a little bit undersized, too, if you want to slide him into guard. J.D. Campbell has A in the run block, A impact block. It's not important, but look at the combine on this freak. Jesus Christ. I think we might just bypass it and get... we also could wait. We definitely could wait. We have Cody Thorpe. I'd say if this guy doesn't have a good bench press, we're not getting a little bit on the... you know what? I'm thinking there's a way. Maybe we grab Jamal Monroe. And then as soon as that first center goes, because I don't think our center's going to go first and leapfrog him. As soon as that first center goes, we trade up. So I'm going to get Jamal Monroe. Fuck! Where's the dev trade at? All right, because we don't have a first round pick. The corner, I wasn't full 100% expecting a dev trade, but it would have been really freaking nice. So we got a normal dev with our top pick. That center's got to be a hidden dev. So we are going to trade to the first pick of the third round. So we're going to jump up 14 spots. I threw in a third rounder next year, maybe slightly overpaying to the Cleveland Browns, but I'm almost certain this guy's going to be a hidden dev player that can start for us at guard with that athletic background. And if I'm wrong, I'm going to be really sad. But I think I should be right. But for all we know, he probably has D-run block or D-pass block and he's butt cheeks. But there we go. We get an athletic freak. And I'm going to say, with his testing, that could be gold. That could be a superstar. Do we bring back normalizing? Fourth round punters. Pat Moore. We need a punter. A, awareness. A, kick accuracy. Elite kick power. That should be a good one. Oh, we got our fast UDFA grade. B, deep route running, wide receiver. Quentin Phelps come in, compete for that wide receiver 3 spot. 97 acceleration, agility, change of direction, 97 speed. Disgusting. So looking at our draft recap here, feel pretty good about the haul. Jamal Monroe for a normal dev player. I'll take a 78 corner in the second round all day. Campbell, 74 as a center. Now, we need to move him in. He needs to be our new starting right guard. And I'm going to maybe lose a point moving from center to guard. I think there's a little bit. Actually, it goes up one to a 75. Generational punter, Pat Moore. Let's go to Southern Miss. Stud. You take that. You make that pick every day in the fourth round. Phelps, 72 with a hidden dev. Finish up with a running. I wish actually, that was a position. I was kind of hoping we might be able to get one of those studs that we can usually find in the 5th, 6th round at running back. You get those guys that have couple A's, couple B's, you know what I'm saying? Run a 4.4. Did not kind of pop up here because I am starting to get a little conscientious about Trey Benson. Do we pay Trey Benson, especially with this shift towards a pass-heavy offense where the running back's just kind of going to be a role player? I'm leaning towards not paying him if the price is a lot higher than like $6-7 million a year. So coming out of our bye here in year number 4, we're still looking for our first playoff push. We're 2 games back, but 3-2, we're above 500. Which has been, not the case. So hopefully we can finish this season strong. Looking at our contracts, $72 million remaining. Now we declined the 5th-year option on Marvin Harrison Jr. because the plan is to get him locked in. We got 6 years of the rebuild left. So I want to give him 6 years. I mean, what was the 5th-year option for him? It was like $46 million, something crazy like that. Let's just pay the man. Honestly, we'll start with this offer. Might have to come up a little bit, but I'd like to think he'd decide 6-year, $224 million, which he does. That is a gigantic contract. As we talked about with Trey Benson, I think now because our offense has kind of shifted around a little bit as far as, who our relied upon skill position players are, it's just there's not focus on the running back right now. That is expensive. I said if we can get around $6 million, 6 to 7, and he's 7 to 9. So he's pricing himself out here just a little bit. So I think our plan is going to be just the rookie running back route. We have Paris Johnson Jr. I do want to try and keep all the top tackles here in the building as long as we can. So he's looking for a 3-year. I keep him until he's, let's see if we can get this to 4. 4 years, 76. And we keep the former first-round pick. We have the Canadian at guard, but we just don't pay linemen. We can't pay linemen. It's just so much easier to get into the cycle of just drafting cheap ones in like the 2nd and 3rd round of the draft. We will pick up probably the 5th-year option of Will Camp. Actually, you know what? He might be another one of those deals where it's more advantageous to decline the 5th-year option and get him signed to a long-term contract before that is a lot more expensive. So I probably will decline this so we can pay him next season. All right, it only took 4 years, but at 3rd place in the NFC West, we go above 500 for the first time, 9-8, and squeak in with the final spot of the wild card here in the NFC. That is a big win. Looking at our rankings offensively, number 2 passing offense, which, that's what we should be. Defensive didn't really get the bump I don't think we were hoping for from Aiden Hutchinson. Kyler Murray kind of went nuclear. 3rd in MVP voting. It's also aided by the fact Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide receiver of the year, and Burris just missing out on the top 5. Kyler Murray, 4,800 yards, 40 touchdowns to 9 picks. Yep, pretty good. Pretty freaking good. Our run game is what it is because our receiving game was this. 106 catches, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns for Marvin Harrison Jr., 100 catches, 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns for Carlos Burris. The rookie burner, Quentin Phelps, 8 and 9 So we are 3 deep. What's the dev trade on? There you go. He's just your cheesy superstar dev. 4-2 speed. I'm telling you, fellas. Like, I've been saying, too, it's like 1 in 5 draft classes this guy exists. I might even shave that down to 1 in 3. And they're always UDFA. So when you are, let's just say, 4th round, 5th round in your draft, I mean, it's late. Come on. For all of you that are still drafting in Madden 24. And it could carry over into Madden 25. They don't, fully refresh the draft class generator. And that's, look for the UDF. A thing that I would do is, like, they're always going to be deep threat archetype. I try to find the deep threat archetypes just right off the bat that have, like, B deep threat running. That's usually the first kind of giveaway. Or you can just straight up look in and deep dive. And holy shit, Hutchinson, we need more than 5.5 sacks. I'm paying you like $30 million a year. 24 TFLs is pretty damn good. Sacks need to come up. Ojulari was solid. Howard. Like, when my nose tackle is getting more sacks than Ian Hutchinson, have a little bit of a concern. Darius Robinson crushed it from D tackle. 16 TFLs with 11.5 sacks. Our interception numbers. Cliff Hayes leads team with 3, but still really low. So kind of quickly looking at what the Bucks were good at. Defense. 10-7, but on the back of a almost top 5 defense. Let's see if they can hang with the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver in the league. They cannot. It's ugly. Oh my God, that is ugly. 11-7. Looking like a lacrosse score. Wow. Game that featured field goal, safety, 2 field goals, I assume. Or did we get a touchdown, 2-point conversion? All right, we just Madden 24 challenge. Can you win a playoff game with only scoring obscure ways of scoring? Check mark. All right, so full respect to the Bucks defense, man. Stopping our freaks on offense. Pretty damn impressive. Now we have Seattle, divisional opponent, 11-6. Offensively, technically better than us. It's all about how it gets done, though. They're a run team. We're a pass team. Their defense, slightly better. We are definitely the underdogs in this matchup, but if we can get the high-powering offense going... Oh, sorry, psych. We're going to lose by 30 fucking points. As we clean out our lockers here in year 4. Very slight disappointment that our athletic freak of a 3rd-round pick, I thought there was just a true shot he'd be superstar. He's only a star. But, again, late-round value wide receiver, like we need any more help. Phelps is superstar, and Kyler Murray... rightfully so, after, 42, 43, whatever it was, total touchdowns. Makes the jump up to X Factor. However, I do think we're at that spot where, he's at his ceiling and probably need to start thinking about a successor. Getting a successor in place. I do feel like we're a very quarterback-friendly offense. So if we can find a quarterback worth drafting, ideally, it's not a guy that's going to cost a top 5 pick. We can find, a guy that's going, between, 7 and 15. That's, a 73, 74 with a great dev trait, cannon arm or something like that. That would be a perfect situation. But as we enter the offseason, we are going to need a new guard as Adams, the Canadian, is going to hit the open market. We do need a new running back as Trey Benson is going to hit the open market. Defensively, we get the maintained dev trait of Hutchinson. I think is probably just because he had almost 25 TFLs, which is huge. But I'm a little worried with the sack production that he needs to keep that dev trait to justify the contract we paid. Darius Robinson makes a jump from star up to a superstar, which is huge. However, unfortunately, we do lose a dev trait on Owen Papo from star down to normal, and Jalen Thompson from superstar down to a star dev trait. But Monroe, were you always hidden dev? You were not always hidden dev. Hell yeah. Second, the top pick of our draft. A little bit of a wet fire as a normal dev. Gets a dev trait. Now he looks a lot better in terms of ceiling as well. And for you sickos out there, yes, we did draft a generational punter. Yes, we freaking did. Free agency, very weak free agency class. Freaking Trey Benson's the second best guy you could get. Arguably the hottest name. Which makes it sting probably a little bit more, knowing that, he's obviously leaving us. I just want to kind of run down my game plan here. Our needs, we need a running back, we need a guard, and I would like to say a safety linebacker. Just kind of looking at the position. Safety, Buda Baker's getting kind of old. At linebacker, Zaven Collins is kind of at his ceiling. So not a strong running back class, and there's not that late round running back that looks good. Griffith looks good. I wouldn't trade up for him, but he might be our best option at this point. We did scout a couple guards here. Canty. We got an A pass block on Preston, who looks like an absolute stud athletically speaking. Pretty good athlete as well. Wish the bench press was a little bit higher, but I mean, kind of the letter grades look like they're going to check out here for some of these interior linemen. So I feel pretty bullish about that. And then you look like linebacker and safety really are secondary needs. I scouted Stanley Mixon. He had A tackle, A pursuit, B block shed. He looks great. There's a couple middle linebackers. Got a lot of speed. Probably a couple 90-plus speed linebackers in this draft class. Safeties, I wouldn't say particularly the best, but Matt Strickland in the first round does have 8-man coverage. Like, I'd rather like a value pick. We got the B coverage here, De Carvalho and Ballard. Like, those could be value picks later on. But basically, the point that I'm getting at is, like, we go running back or safety, something like that. We don't need a first-round pick. And with the idea that we need to get Kyler Murray's successor, maybe trying to pick up an additional first-round pick this year is the best option. So we're going to go with the value pick here. We get a future first and second for the Minnesota Vikings. The only bummer is the Vikings usually are pretty damn good in the sim, so these are going to be likely not elite first and second round picks, but the value there is just too much to pass up. Now, what will be interesting is we'll watch like the running backs and safeties. Potentially, we'll need to trade up in the second round to get a guy we really like. All right, this better work out. We are sending to jump up 20 spots in the second round. Our second round pick, our third round pick next year, a 6th and 7th this year. Rivers, who was our third string guard, and Nick Anderson, who's a 77-25 normal dev wide receiver. So, like, just solid role players, and Anderson might have an outside shot of starting for the Broncos as their wide receiver 3, but it always was going to cost a lot to jump up 20 spots in the second round. And, the third rounder, the additional third rounder is a little bit of a pain in the ass, but we still next year we have 2 firsts, 2 seconds, so I feel like it was a little bit of a, we had the resources. So looking at who's going to be the best player of the bunch, Michael Ballard, athletically, this guy looks like a stud. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm impressed. I think the only argument can be made, the safeties don't seem to make a bunch of plays in our scheme right now. So, like, is it best to just sit and wait? Is it best to make a move? We got Preston with the A pass block. Athletically speaking, not a freak, that like the one we got last year. So not in lock that he is a hidden dev player. You got Canty here, looks solid as well, because we don't have a third round pick. After this, it's the 4th round. It's like, is these guards going to be available in the 4th round? Or we have the running back that we scouted here in Jeff Griffith. I mean, I wish there was some A's there for me to be like, yes, that is our slam dunk pick. You look at the athleticism, elite change of direction, great speed, great acceleration is almost as good as elite. So, I mean, he probably has like 91, 92 speed. I just think the fact that we don't have a running back right now, we don't have a starting running back, we should pull the trigger here. Hey, he looks good, for what was not a great combine. It was good, not great. 92 acceleration, 93 change of direction, 93 speed. That'll get the job done. Well, all the safeties and linebackers I like, all right, it's just absolute cannibalism. We're going to go with this freak athlete. Was a projected UDFA guard, which was very surprising. That's a hit. That's a nice hit. The rating, though, usually when you get the UDFA grade guys with dev traits, he could be like a 69 or 68 or something like that. But with that dev trait, I don't think I'll have much issue starting him at all. High ceiling for sure. So last year we got a generational punter. This year we have Chris O'Neal, who has A, kick accuracy, A, awareness, elite kick power as well. Welcome to the squad. I feel real good about our draft class, even with our limited picks. We get kind of a throwaway pick down here at guard, trying to chase the letter grades, the best letter grades available. But the kicker, 76. Hidden dev for Chris O'Neal, 73 for Bennett. Hidden dev, that was a UDFA grade interior lineman. So that is outstanding value. Very happy with that. And Griffith with a 77. I thought he was going to be in this ballpark. But, hey, hidden dev, and he's going to be a day 1 starter. So even if it's only end up being a star dev, he's going to be in a great spot to try and compete for Offensive Rookie of the Year and get that free little cheesy dev trade if you win that award. You can finally look at another pick within the division. Generally, the Rams. We've lucked out. The Niners haven't drafted particularly well. The Seahawks drafted particularly well. And then the Rams drop this bomb where they get a 75 tight end in the second round. No dev trait. That's still really nice value. And then with a top 5 pick, they go and get a stud wide receiver at an A&M Alton Byers, 78 with that hidden dev. Good speed, very well-rounded playmaker to put there with Cooper Kupp. Puka Nacua, that's pretty annoying. The midway point of year number 5, and we're still just in this constant battle of 500. I don't want to say it's Kyler Murray. He had 40 touchdowns last year. I just feel like he's at that age now where he's slowly going to start to regress. He's at his ceiling. That's why I focus scouted the quarterbacks in this year's draft class. Unfortunately, it does look pretty weak for the quarterbacks. So with that being said, I think it's in our best interest to give Kyler Murray a 1-year deal. 1 year, $18 million. I think we're probably going to have to try and engage in flipping our 2 first-round picks this year for more first-round picks. Again, until there's I don't even think there's a quarterback remotely good in this upcoming draft class. So, and you'll also see that in the offseason here. Will Campbell needs to get paid. Our 2nd first-round pick of the rebuild. Our first that we actually made in-house. Well, we get him a 5-year deal. He's here for the remainder of the rebuild. So let's see if we can bump this up. We'll go 9 and 13.5. 5-year, 113. So our tackles are locked up. Darius Robinson has been our best pass rusher. I would like to keep him. Something like this, 4-year, 110. Now, we got a lot of contracts. We have a lot of contracts handed out. We still have Burris, the other freak of nature wide receiver, that's going to have to get paid. So I think we need to be smart here with our contracts and understand what we've been doing hasn't really been working. So that means, Papo, fun experiment, didn't work out. Buda Baker, we need to get younger. You're not gonna be here. We're struggling to win now. You're not gonna help us year 7, 8, 9 when we gotta try to push for a freaking Super Bowl here. Slaughter solid, 24.79, pretty good, but that's expensive for a center, the one that we could probably draft one day 2. Jalen Thompson's at that age, at that cutoff point. Zaven Collins, these are the players that we were talking about in the last draft. If we had good players, we would have targeted a safety or a linebacker, knowing that these two guys, and Buda Baker included, were, on the outside looking in for new contracts. And I would like keeping Barrett Carter, but I can't pay that much money for an off-ball linebacker right now, given the contracts we've already handed out. So just to show you where we're at with the quarterback class that we are slowly starting to... It's... Ben Stewart, best of the bunch out of Stanford. 3 A's and a B. Does not have elite throw power. Not a necessity, but for me to really want to be like, I'm trading multiple picks, you need to have those key ratings and the athletic attributes to go with it. Cody Arnold, 4 B's in the 2nd round. Might have, I'll say this, if he has elite throw power, yeah, hell yeah, maybe trade up in the 2nd round. But if not, probably going to try to flip our 1st-round picks, kick that can down the road. As we close out year number 5, same record as last year, but except this time, we are not 3rd in the division, we're 2nd in the division, but everyone else is better in the NFC, and we did not make the playoffs. We finished with the top 10 passing offense, top 10 rushing defense, but I don't know, man, we are struggling to figure it out here. Kyler Murray pretty much locked in, more often than not, in that 8th spot in MVP voting, but still goes to show that while he's at his ceiling, starting to regress, still playing at a high level, so it's not the end of the world that we got him back on a 1-year deal next season. He was 4th in yards, 3rd in touchdowns, 4,200 yards, 37 touchdowns, not bad. 9 and 3 for Jeff Griffith, our new running back. Again, this is why I just want rookie running backs, because we don't have to, holy shit. We almost might need to trade him. For how not much bad English, good English, we're going to use our running back in this system, because we're always still going to, even though this guy's a freak, we're still going to always prioritize Marvin Harrison Jr. and Burris at wide receiver. Might be value in, I don't know, there's a lot of teams that are going to want to trade a quarterback for an X-Factor running back and some picks, but, maybe we can go kick around, see what might be there. Wide receivers 8. Marvin Harrison Jr., 105 catches, almost 1,300 yards, 8 tutties, 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns for Burris. Almost 9 and 5 from Phelps. McBride, great year for a tight end, almost 600 yards, 7 touchdowns. I'll take that every day of the week. Defensively, Papo, Carter, and Baker, all over 100 tackles. Our sacks, Aiden Hudson, finally. 17 and 10.5. That's the floor, I think, given the contract he gave out to him, that he needs to hit. 7 sacks for Ojulari, 5.5 for Robinson, 4.5. We got John Franklin Myers coming in as a late free agency signing. That must have been the CPU there. 2 sacks, Buda Baker, 2 for Monroe, 1-1 for Haynes, and Thompson interceptions. Haven't been great here, but at least happy Aiden Hutchinson kind of starting to put it all together, find his rhythm in our scheme. Take a look at our depth traits as we close out the season. Kyler Murray up to, I don't want to say up to because he's maintained the X factor. I thought for sure he would lose it at 32, but I mean, he's played at a high level. Also, be honest with you, was fully expecting the running back to get punished right away because he didn't really have a crazy season. But that is pretty badass. That is a high-powered offense, and honestly, we are underperforming with the players that we have in place. Now knowing that we're going to need a new center going in to this offseason for the offense. Defensively, we're going to have a lot of turnover, but luckily, the no dev traits have been really lost. Jalen Thompson lost his star dev. He's down to normal. We're going to let him walk. Buda Baker's gone. Papo's gone. We are going to need to revamp this team here. Luckily, we got a lot of depth at corner, which you feel good about. Looking at it, Haynes is an 83 corner. 83 safety. Maybe he moves naturally right into that safety spot. That's a great rating. I don't know what stats he has. I mean, profile fits that of a safety. 66 tackle. That ain't bad, man. I think we move him right away to strong safety. So that means we just got to retool the linebacking core, get ourselves a free safety, get ourselves a center, all very attainable. And, we got Kyler for 1 more year so we can kick that can down the road on having to find a quarterback. We're also going to turn down the 5th-year option for Carlos Burris. I just want to get him paid long-term as soon as possible. We come to free agency. Big needs that I want to try and address. One is center, but that is also a spot that, our top center available on the market is the guy we're letting walk because it's just a awkward price point. So I think the draft is where we're going to want to do our damage. Again, we have 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks. I don't know if we're going to keep all those picks, but we are in a good spot. We need 2 new linebackers. We also need 3, but the reality is you're just running a lot of nickels, so you primarily just need at least 2. And again, it's the situation where the guy that's the top guy is the guy that we're let walk because we don't really want to pay an off-ball linebacker almost $14 million a year. But then when you get down here, there's not a lot of bargains as well. I looked at Jalen Walker, has a dev trait, $5 million per year. I think that's... honestly, if we'll take that, that's solid, and it just means... Because it's going to be very difficult to get a center linebacker, because you don't really want to spend first-round picks in that area code. Oh, we also need, a quarterback, and Drew Aller, who is hyped up, very hyped up from Penn State in regards to a prospect. He hit the open market 25.78 with a dev trait. Now... coming in with a very low offer. A low offer that, puts me in a spot, as we did not get Jalen Walker. It puts us in a spot because there is no good quarterback this year. We got 2 first-round picks in the draft with the idea that with those 2 first-round picks, we'll be able to get Kyler Murray's successor. That successor doesn't exist this year. So my plan is going to be see if I can flip at least one of those first-round picks for another first-round pick, kick that can down the road so that when there is, oh my God, this could be like a 79, 80 rookie quarterback, X Factor type guy that is available, which they do come. We will have the draft picks to go pounce on that guy. Until that point, Kyler's only on a 1-year deal. His regression's kind of cannibalizing his rating. So I feel like Drew Aller, 4 years. What is this, $25 million? So, contractually does not hinder us being aggressive in drafting a quarterback and using assets to draft a quarterback. He's honestly on backup quarterback money. But if that quarterback never falls, there's a shot. He's only 25.78, has a dev trait. He could develop into a successor, especially in this very potent scheme. So we got pick 16 and 19 in this year's draft. And that's the top quarterback. 2nd, 3rd round talent. Not what we're looking for at all. We need center. I've done my homework on the centers, and, this guy here turned into a dud. I'm glad we kind of scouted him. Meeks was there. We have the A run block on Cone, so that might just be the safest bet. We need linebackers in a bad way, and I got a couple, Dempsey here, A zone coverage. Love that. 2nd, 3rd round, little rich. You get the B's in zone coverage. I don't really want anyone ever below B zone coverage because... that's kind of a personal target of mine. Scouted Mike Monroe here. Linebacker looks like a stud. Brandon Bayless has the double A's, which, again, also usually a slam dunk Clausen could be even better. So I think we feel real good about the linebackers that are available. We need safety help. And when you look at the safeties, not in love with the safeties that are available. Here we got B-zone coverage on Darius Sears. And usually, like, unique kind of names like that tend to be very interesting players. At strong safety, Tim Parker looks like he could be pretty good. Humphrey looks like he could be good. But all in all, I still think the plan here, even with the Drew Aller signing, is can we get another first-round pick? There's no one here that's worth a guy, so can we get a 2030 first? It's kind of what we're looking for. I don't really want to wait to 2031. So we get a first from the Saints. A first and a second from the Saints is pretty good. They're not a really good. We can also pick up another. Ooh, that might be. Pick up an additional first this year and a first next year from the Raiders. God bless them. Thank you. I'll take that one all day. And I was going to make my selection here, but that is just too much value, I think, from the Vikings. We still have a late first this year, so we can still invest that. But we can get another first and just have another couple swings at that franchise quarterback, which is the biggest thing that we have to do for this Cardinals franchise. Given the fact that we're 5 freaking years in, no divisional titles, and we're barely squeaking above 500. So I think our best value comes at safety. We've got an interesting call. We have McGriff and Humphrey. Both these guys are. I wish we knew what Humphrey's coverage was, because even if that was a B, A and C is a big variance, and if that was an A or a B, he's easily the guy we want. McGriff, slightly more straight line speed, but I think overall, first in the vertical jump, top 5 in the 3-cone 20-yard shuttle, but he's 5. Where you look at someone like Humphrey, decent speed, but not great. But the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle are exactly what you want. The vert's not bad. Broad jump was first. You're really, we're picking between B tackle, B hit power. B tackle, C hit power, but he's an A to C zone coverage, B to D. So, bigger hitter, better cover guy. I think we'll go with the cover guy here. Luckily, we roll a dev trait. He is going to be our free safety. I'm going to move to free safety. That's probably why, honestly, we'd go with this guy over the other one. Because I need a free safety because you feel good at strong safety right now. And you are going to be our Jalen Thompson replacement. All right, we got pick 16 and 19 in the second round. And honestly, I think, where's that center? That center's supposed to go like 3rd, 4th round. Malachi Cone. We need 2 linebackers. So we have Clay Dempsey, who has the A-zone coverage, B tackle, 6'2", 247, elite speed, good acceleration, good strength, 4.55. Do certainly wish the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle were a little better. But you got the A-zone coverage, which is kind of what we're looking for. You have Zach Clausen. There's like really 4 linebackers I'd feel all right with. He is A tackle, kind of a blind pick, but he does have elite speed and athletically pretty damn good. We have Mike Monroe, who we scouted. 2nd, 3rd round pick. 2 A's, 2 B's, 6'1", 243. Elite acceleration, great speed. As you can see, a little bit slower, but the 1st and 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle. I think we might have to just trust our gut and grab him. Bayless, another guy, could be an absolute dog. Double A's, 6'2", 4'3". He has elite speed, great acceleration. Oh, okay. I think we go Monroe first. Please have a dev. Let's go. And then we come back and we get Clay Dempsey. We get a natural off-ball outside linebacker, a natural inside linebacker. Wear the green dot on his helmet at Arizona State. He's Scooby Wright reincarnated. All right, so looking at our draft recap. A lot of just, might follow my board. All K players. Some guys in the 60s. But the big hits that we feel good about. Tommy Humphrey, a little bit low on the rating, to be honest with you. But again, a little bit of a blind pick. We didn't know his base stats. Kind of just went off the fact that he looked more coverage than the other. He's not bad, 74 and 73 in his man and zone. And you got the dev trait, so who knows? That could be all right. But Mike Monroe, 76. You'll love to see that. Dempsey, 75. Both dev traits, both going to be day 1 starters right in the middle of our defense. So the midway point here of year 6, we are 5-4, 2nd in the West. So we're not necessarily popping off, but we're in a pretty decent spot, all things considered. With $65 million, we are going to have to decide what's the best way to spend this money. We have starters across the board. We have Cliff Haynes at safety, thriving at safety. But I think to earn this contract, I'm going to need to see like 3-4 picks. If not, I'd rather go cheap and affordable at that safety spot because that's a pretty premium price. We have Seymour at corner. Does have the dev trait, and this is a lot more affordable. So I think we can probably get him 2.5, 1.5, 4 years, 16 mil. Probably get that 17, maybe 18. We'll be able to lock down a star dev corner, which I think is a good business. We have Ron Howard at D tackle. You know, I don't think we need to pay nose tackle. It might not be every draft, but I do think eventually you get like at least 2, like a nose tackle that's replaceable for Ron Howard. And Darius Robinson is our big name D tackle. And if we run a lot of, hybrid nickel, he's not even on the field. Doesn't get a whole lot of snaps. But, I mean, he has played well. Needs to be said. Ron Howard, for a nose tackle. Not so much, but his first 2 years, 6.5 sacks, 7 sacks. That's a tough one. I do think at times he's looked like he earns a contract. Other times he doesn't. We have Kyler Murray here. I think we kind of take a wait and see because he's going to regress probably down to like an 81, 80, maybe even 79, which could be kind of harsh. Want to see and get a little bit more scouting done in the draft class to see what the quarterbacks look like. Again, we also signed Drew Aller as his back. So I think we're probably out on the Kyler Murray, but you never know. He might go nuclear, finish with 40-some touchdowns, and we'll pay him back for a 1 year. Burris needs to get paid. Only got a downside about Burris as, again, S-tier prospect is that he was 23 as a rookie, so he's already kind of old. But we got 4 years left of this rebuild. I want him for the 4 years. I think we're going to have to offer him a lot more money, though. We're going to go 16 and 13.5 should be enough. 4 year, 118. Let's go. Well, it doesn't change much. Had a brain fart. I literally was like, let's just say I had a brain fart. Just simmed the first week of the playoffs before doing the season recap. We lost anyways, 2017. We had a good year. We go 12-5, which is easily our best record of the rebuild. Still searching for our first divisional title. But, man, Kyler Murray's still playing at a somewhat high level, but when you look at it, you are starting to see the decline. He was second in passing yards, but 29 touchdowns. Given the weapons we have, suspect. Our rushing attack is what it is. Definitely wasting an X-Factor running back in Jeff Griffith, who's likely going to lose that X-Factor, but is what it is. For our receivers, the big dogs, they absolutely ate. Marvin Harrison Jr., over 100 catches, 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns for Burris, Phelps, and McBride. Good role players. Defensively, Mike Monroe and Clay Dempsey. We needed them to be beast. They were beast. Mike Monroe, star dev, not bad. Yeah, serviceable, good upside. Clay Dempsey, however, superstar dev linebacker. That's what you want to see. If I'm getting 2 hidden dev linebackers, if both were star, that would have been disappointing. Aiden Hutchinson is finally starting to put it all together after a slow first year in Arizona. 80 tackles, 24 TFLs, 15.5 sacks, 17-9 for the D tackle Robinson. Great numbers. Howard was solid. Ojulari, that's probably the worst contract. There's maybe just, I know how good he was in our main Cardinals franchise, and maybe that's why I re-signed him when I probably shouldn't have, which it is what it is. The rookie, Tommy Humphrey, led the team with 3 picks. Also should be shown, Mike Monroe, our star dev linebacker, Dempsey superstar, Humphrey X-Factor, but our star dev, 1 defensive rookie of the year, so an opportunity for potentially to jump up to a superstar. So we end with 2 superstars and an X-Factor from that draft class. Damn, season's end, we unfortunately did not get a superstar role. What? We did, and they took it away. We won't be greedy, though, because we already got a superstar and an X-Factor, but that is a fucking robbery. What? So I think it is going to be the end of the Kyler Murray era here in Arizona, just because, I mean, he's not regressing. He didn't regress at all, which is pretty decent. But we're very much at a ceiling, it feels like. And I don't know if he's ever going to be the guy that can take us over the hump, especially with our weapons only getting 29 touchdowns, knowing that with this scheme, with a better quarterback, arguably, you can get 40 bombs. I don't know. I think it's in our best decision to move on. Look at what Kyler has been able to accomplish here. 42,000 yards passing, 299 touchdowns, 116 picks. Also has over 5,000 yards rushing and another 42 touchdowns. Now, he's been good, but has he been great? No. Couple disappointing seasons. You know? 35-19, way too many interceptions. 32-15, way too many interceptions. 32-9, middle of them all season. 40-9, great. 37-9, great. Now you're starting to get old. Back down to 29. So it's kind of like, it could bite us in the ass. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Could 100%. We let Kyler walk. We go Drew Aller. We get someone in the draft. Doesn't work out. But I think it's the bold move we need to make to try to change the fortunes of this. Because we only got 4 years left to try to not only win one Super Bowl, but to try to win 3 and turn this thing into a dynasty. I will say, looking towards the draft, better roll of quarterbacks. We have Glenn Dickinson, Juan Ramsey, and Tequan Jackson as the first rounders. Dickinson out of Virginia Tech, a medium, a short, throw power, could potentially be elite. Need to get the report back on that. And he doesn't have to be an elite, but you'd like to, you'd feel a little more comfortable with that being the case. Same kind of grades here for Ramsey, 6'3", 227 out of Baylor. Same kind of deal where he could also have elite throw power. Great is a minimum. I don't think I'll ever draft a first-round quarterback that is below great. And then we have Tequan Jackson if you want a dual threat out of Maryland, 6'1", 225. And he looks like he's going to be a big-time athlete, potentially elite acceleration, agility, change of direction, and no elite on the throw power. So kind of the outside looking in. If we do want to get a quarterback, someone that we don't want to go with the Drew Aller selection, which, I mean, these guys, we get a little bit more information. If these guys are coming up like first-rounders, I could be intrigued. Or, hear me out. Oh, I can't even get it. He wants $56 million a year. I was going to say, we can do the funniest thing ever, but we can't. Looking at the last mock drafts, it does look like there's a potential generational wide receiver here in Juwan Garrison. And I will be honest, almost intrigued to say, fuck it, I'm going to get 3 of these monsters and see but we don't need 3. We respect what we got. We have 2 first-rounders. Glenn Dickinson, fully scouted him, 2nd, 3rd round talent. I mean, that's what happens in Madden, right? Because top quarterbacks usually aren't super high rating. Like, even guys that are good. Like this guy, let's just hypothetically say, he's a top 5 projected quarterback, probably has a better dev trait than his rating. Like, he could be a superstar dev, but like a 72. Like a 72 superstar dev quarterback, you're taking that top 5 all day. But because he's a 72 rated, his talent is going to fall into that range. But the thing for me is getting scared off by the true talent grade and the fact he does not have elite throw power kind of scared me off here a little bit, which is not good because he was one of the big quarterbacks we were looking at. The other big quarterback, where you at? I mean, in our range, we have picked 17 and 7, so we're going to be able to do some work. But the other quarterback, where you at? At least he gets a first-round talent, and we wouldn't have to trade. We got 3 firsts, and I could get him with my least of the 3 first-round picks. And I don't, that's, again, you love to see it match up, the projection and talent. You'd love to see that be a top 5 talent. But he's still first, second round, doesn't have the elite throw power, which is kind of a bummer. But that's still a first rounder, and at least adds confidence for Drew Aller. I think we could do that. Now the question becomes, who else do we get in this first round? Because 2 of my 3 focus scouts, and really my whole positional focus scouting, was the quarterback spot. So we're unfortunately got the blind pick with the rest of the selections. Do we just say fuck it and go get this wide receiver or something? All right, I think I have how I want this draft to go. We're going to keep our picks roughly where they're at. I think the big thing is, like, as long as I can get Ramsey at 22 and not have to move, which I feel kind of confident with. I believe at 17 we'll go lineman. And then I think we got to jump from 7 to 3. I want this corner. Joey Weaver, I think that's the guy that we need to go get. 5'11", 207, A catching, man press, B zone, combine, very good. Runs 4.26, 3-cone, 20-yard shuttle, almost top 5, broad jump. Everything is good. So I think we also could use corner because we can switch one of our other depth corners to a safety spot. Like, this is the best pure DB that we can get. So we need to get him. We need to keep all our first-round picks. I think we can have an S-tier draft. So to move up 4 spots in the first round, I have sent our second round pick, our 4th and 5th round pick to the Chicago Bears to jump from 7 up to 3. And with this selection, we are going to select Joey Weaver, corner out of Ole Miss, who looks S-tier. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. As good of a DB as you're going to find. I mean, maybe you could have got a guy that's like 6'2", 6'3", to get that elite size on the outside, but athletically speaking, attribute-wise, beast. I'm expecting probably 80, 81, I would guess. At pick 17, let's grab our quarterback, Juan Ramsey. Wish he had elite throw power. Is what it is. Everything else looks solid enough. 92 in the throw power department. Hidden dev is the big thing. He's going to come in and compete with Drew Aller for the starting spot. B, deep accuracy. A, mid. A, short. B, throw on the run. B, throw under pressure. B, awareness. I mean, again, I think the rating probably like 75 at best. But I think we got a very interesting potential successor to Kyler Murray here. And for the interior pick, final 3rd round selection, we get like a Jason Kelsey regen. Jeff Pittman, AA in the blockings at center. We've needed a center. Now, it's not a sexy pick, but I think this guy here, rating-wise, is as S-tier of a center as you're going to find. I think he might be our highest-rated player out of all of our first-round picks, and I feel great about all 3, even though I'm expecting the quarterback's rating not to be the best. Now, the only thing that was a bummer is that we couldn't find a D tackle. That would have been the completion. We need a D tackle still. We do have 3 finesse move D tackles that are looking somewhat promising. Bobby Rowe, 4'9", bench press at 35. Not bad. Gordon Thomas also has the A finesse move, 6'3". First in the 40-yard dash. Still 30-plus reps in the bench press, 3-cone drill. Pretty good. Or we have Kurt Bradshaw, who also is coming in with the A finesse move, B tackle, 6'5", 301. Second in the 40-yard dash. Under 30 reps on the bench press, but the 3-cone and 20-yard shuttle look pretty dang good. I'm thinking Gordon Thomas is probably the best just because he does not have an F in power. Like, at worst, his power move is a D, which is better than an F. So we're going to grab Gordon Thomas. Oh, we need the Dev Drake Kellogg. Nice athlete, though, on the inside. All right, we set our board just to sim this one out. This is going to be the biggest and most important draft of this entire rebuild because we have 3 first-round picks. Because I think 2 of our players are going to be ridiculous, and the quarterback is a quarterback draft pick. Need him to be huge. And, you know, the ratings asses, I love the way we finished out, too. 70, wide receiver in the 5th round, Bobby Watkins. No Dev Trey, thought there might have been a shot there. Cheeks, 71 of a pass rusher with a Dev out of Penn State. Thank you very much, computer, for selecting him out of everybody that else was available. And usually it's a fucking quarterback or a punter or something. But Pittman, the Jason Kelsey-esque regen, powerhouse, 82 hidden. So that's probably going to be a superstar dev. I have seen occasionally get like these beasts that aren't, and they're just a star, which is a little bit annoying. But I'm be optimistic that Jeff Pittman is going to be an 82 superstar dev center. And if you're drafting center in the first round, they better look like that. Ramsey, as I said, the rating was probably not going to hold up to the other first round picks, which it didn't as a 73. But, you know, he's probably going to be our starter. Even though he gives up, 4 or 5 overall points to Drew Aller, you got to commit with the young buck here. Let him take control of the offense so that he can get the ground running so that, you know, hey, year 7, his first year, maybe a little bit of a mulligan year, maybe a little bit of growing pains, but you give him this year to start, and I feel like he'll at least be peaking around year 9, year 10, maybe even sooner with the offense and the wide receivers we have. And then we got Weaver in the first round, 84 hidden dev, generational corner. What a draft class. I will say, just out of curiosity, there was this other freak wide receiver that we said was going to be clearly good, Jawan Garrison, 6'5", 222, 96 speed, 94 acceleration, 99. He's going to be an X factor. He's one of those guys. Imagine if we had 3 of them. It wouldn't work because there's just no offense that would, yeah, that guy would have been sick, though. Would have been hilarious. Ooh, Harrison on the outside. Boom. Beats the safety. Easy does it. First career touchdown for Juan Ramsey. Boom. Should be no, it's just, hey, having 299 freak of nature wide receivers. Shocking. Shocking they're unstoppable. And we close this one out. Juan Ramsey in his NFL debut. 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, almost 200 through the air to Marvin Harrison Jr. as the Cardinals start the season with a big 35-31 divisional victory over the Rams. And just over the midway point of year number 7, we got to hit the nos here a little bit. We got to start getting some success, postseason success. And with a rookie quarterback, we are 8-3 off to our hottest start yet. Looking at the dev traits, Pittman, first round pick, already up to an 88 superstar dev. Ramsey didn't have the best starting rating, was only a 73 superstar dev. And on the defensive side, Weaver is an X factor. So we're trying to recreate Aiden Hutchinson's his own thing. But you look at the best players the Cardinals had during their golden era, like the Larry Fitzgerald era, right? Darius Robinson, that's our Darnell Dockett, right? Calais Campbell, whatever you want to call it. Humphrey, Adrian Wilson. Weaver, Patrick Peterson. Offensively, we have our Larry Fitzgerald and Quan Bolden 2.0. And if Ramsey can be our Kurt Warner, we're going to get some Super Bowls here to close this thing out. Looking at some contracts, $23 million is not a lot. I was kind of hoping we'd have a lot more, given that Kyler Murray's off the books. So we're going to start. Benford can go. Campbell has been solid. It's not brutal. $7 million a year. Jamal Monroe's been a great corner for us. He's looking more so. Let's get up there in price. But he's a beast. He might need to be the guy that gets paid. Corner's just a more valuable position than guard. Phelps, awesome player for us. You're a wide receiver 3. Go be a wide receiver 1 somewhere else. Marvin Harrison, 99 X factor. Carlos Burris will eventually this season be a 99 X factor. You don't need to pay for that wide receiver 3. So I think we're going to go with Monroe. Sucks that the interest isn't crazy high, but the fact of the matter is this contract very reasonable for a guy that come year 9 and 10 is probably going to be in the 90s. And year 7, it took 7 years. We finally win our first NFC West title, 13-4, our best record of the rebuild. Offensively, everything's good. Offense, defense, peaking at the right time. Even though our defensive rating, 84, probably needs to get a little bit higher for us to be super confident that this team's ready to go win a Super Bowl. With this 93 offense, unstoppable. We could probably ride them to a championship if we need to. We got a young gunslinger. That's everything we needed. Juwan Ramsey, first in yards, second in touchdowns. Honestly, a robbery that he's only 10th in the MVP race. Marvin Harrison Jr., runner-up for Offensive Player of the Year. Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Player of the Year. Juwan Ramsey, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Joey Weaver, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Just big-time numbers, man. Juwan Ramsey, superstar dev, might be X Factor. Might hit that, which is exactly the dose that this offense needs. Griffin, even hit 4. It would have been cool for him to finally get 1,000. I don't know how he's not regressed down yet, but I'm assuming it's inevitable. But I'll take that switch where if Griffin just falls down to superstar and our quarterback gets the X Factor, that's going to be a lot more important for the offense. Marvin Harrison Jr. went nuclear, 1,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, 11-6 from Burris, 7-8 from Phelps, 5-3 from Trey McBride. Defensively, Clay Dempsey, tackle machine. Look at the sacks. 8 notches, 23 TFLs, 18.5 sacks. 18 and 13.5 for Robinson. Finally getting some production at Ojulari, 14 TFLs with 11 sacks. 3 picks from the rookie, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Joey Weaver. Happy with it, man. Real happy with it. So last year, made the playoffs, and I just simmed our first freaking game. Not going to do that this year. We're gonna get a better result. We get the 9-8 Panthers, who are, let's be honest, they're happy to make the playoffs. We need to thump them. We need to rock and fuck. Why? 31-21, we lose. Rookie quarterback, the number 2, we choke it. And we were shit. We got all our points late in the 4th. Quarterback, 300 yards, 1 touchdown. No picks, wasn't necessarily his fault. Run game was all right. Burris went off. Marvin Harrison Jr., I'll say, for a guy that had the numbers he did, that, he can't be held that freaking quiet. Dempsey with a sack and a half. Damn, that's rough. Brutal. So what was maybe even more of a bummer than losing in the playoffs, Ramsey did not get an X Factor off the Offensive Rookie of the Year. Very unfortunate, given the fact that he also crushed it statistically. I thought he would get it based off of his stats on top of rookie of multiple opportunities this year. Did not get that role, which is, how's my running back just not regressing? I don't think he's ever broke 1,000 yards yet. So bizarre. Defensively, Darius Robinson makes the jump from Superstar up to an X Factor. We have Dempsey making the jump from Superstar up to an X Factor. And we're looking pretty good. We didn't have a lot of money in the free agency, but we did have to replace some starters. We needed a guard. We needed, I don't know if we need, but a wide receiver 3 is definitely up on the list. But guard is there. We need a D tackle. At least we're able to get a pretty decent guard. Stopgap guard, Mick Thorne, $26.79 with a dev trade. Got him on a 3-year, just around $12 million deal. Real affordable, real reasonable contract. So we got multiple first-round picks because, we've been very ruthless and shrewd in dealing with our draft picks in this rebuild. And I think the fact that it's taken us 7 years to find success, I'm not losing any sleep over that. So in the first round, we have got to hit on a D tackle. Now the issue is, I don't know if there's a really good one. We gotta have to take a gamble. We have Pat Newton, 6'6", 290, so it's big, but he would be a D tackle. B power move, A tackle, B block shed. Combine's not the best. Even if you compare that to D tackle, not the best. A little slow, not as strong as you'd like to see. We scouted D tackles, and Anthony Burnett is a second, third round talent somehow. Like, I would assume this guy would have been, easy, layup, first round guy. So I just let my fucking pick go off the clock because I forgot to hit pause like an idiot. Oh my God, I don't even know who we picked. It wasn't the good corner that was, I was like, I'm going to get this corner, and then it ended up, oh my God. All right, we're going to go with a severely undersized pass rusher. This guy might be the best. He didn't attend the combine, so it's the ultimate swing, the ultimate Hail Mary. Let's go. We get a dev trait. I'm going to tell you right now, that auto pick probably isn't going to be good. Because I was like, man, did we just say fucking grab a corner? And that corner there that was still on the board looked pretty damn good. We didn't even get him. Oh, it's brutal. Absolutely brutal. I don't think I've ever, that might be the first time in all these 10-year rebuilds that I've bought something like that. It was inevitable. All right, up next, there's a couple decent-looking linebackers. No doubt about it. Don't really need linebackers. Still need D tackles. Don't, I think from now we just kind of in a BPA. Technically, we do need a third wide receiver for the offense. Not something I was, stressing and wanted to truly prioritize. But we got Damian Woodbury, A deep route running, B catching, 5'8", 184, runs not nearly as fast as you would love to see. I actually want to kind of keep this here live to see if I can find one of these studs, though. Show you how easy it is. So you want to just, the easiest way to do this is we got a minute, and I'll probably fuck this up and get an auto pick again. I kind of just scan through and I look first for if we have the deep route running unlocked. Because if we do, that's usually a good starting point. And I can tell you right now, no one exists in that mold. So, with that, I guess we'll just trust the letter grades and go with a lesser of an athlete. Woodbury still should be good. Like I'm saying, at worst, he's like a 74 normal. We roll with the dev trait. Let's go. All right, hold my breath on whatever this first pick was. You know what? Maybe that's karma for acquiring so many first-round picks and kind of slightly cheesing the system. It could be worse. Getting an auto pick, 74, hidden dev corner. Could be worse. So, luckily, we lucked out there. Walsh, 74. Now, we're going to move him inside the D tackle where he is definitely undersized, but it helps that he has 90 strength. I think that will help compensate a little bit for the position, but I don't need a DN. I need a D tackle. And he is going to pull 76. Let's go. Woodbury, wide receiver, 73 with the dev trait. Kind of close to the draft with some solid depth at the top of that. Midway of year 8 and 6-1, sitting atop of the NFC West, getting our first L of the year, actually. Week 7 against a very good Ravens team. A perennial playoff contender, but offensively, really good. Defensively, at least points against, really good. Looking at our contracts here, $74 million. Gene Griffith somehow has defied the odds, maybe better than any player we've seen in a rebuild in terms of dev trait regression. Keeping his act, we just don't need him. Aiden Hutchinson, however, need him. Very much need to lock him in for the remainder of this rebuild. He is finally starting to fire on all cylinders, is the face of the defense. We have Jermaine Bennett. This actually looks like a very, very reasonable contract. We'll get him locked in 3 years for the remainder of the rebuild. Very solid starting guard for us. Ojolari's popping up, but he's just, little late to the party. We're definitely at a spot cap-wise where we can't pay 2 edge rushers big-time money, so we appreciate Ojulari. Unfortunately, never reached the levels of our main channel franchise, but still, he's been good. He's been, a nice role player for us. Same with Trey McBride. I don't think his play as like the 4th wide receiver with our somewhat limit is worth like, $12 million a year. I think we can probably shift our focus towards maybe drafting a tight end. If I'm going to pay someone else, though, it is going to be Paris Johnson Jr. I think we get him. Yeah, lock him in for the reign of rebuild, $42 million on 2 years, and replace everyone else in the draft. I will just say, as I get ready to set my focus going, brutal that tight end and running back are the weakness of this year's draft class. And our team's starting to finally just be that S-tier team that we need them to be. Week 18, 28-21 over the Giants to get a player of the week performance. Aiden Hutchinson comes up with a new contract, 9 tackles, 2 sacks. But you look at how the sausage is made. We go 15-2. We win our 2nd NFC West title, 2nd in a row. Top 5 offense, top 3 defense. Let's go. And Juan Ramsey up to the top 3 discussion for MVP. Lou Sasso gets his first Coach of the Year award. Marvin Harrison Jr., Offensive Player of the Year. Andrew Walsh, blind pick on the D-line. DN, moving the D-tackle, undersized, don't matter, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Best wide receiver in the league. We look at the numbers, 4,300 yards, 43 touchdowns for Juan Ramsey, who is almost certainly going to be an X-Factor quarterback at the end of this season. Griffith eats, hey, we send him off his final year here in Arizona, 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns. Just domination here. Marvin Harrison Jr., 96 catches, 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns. We got 126 receptions for burst in the slot, 1,300 yards, 10 touchdowns. 6 and 7 for McBride, 5 and 4 for Bobby Watkins. Defensively, Dempsey, tackle machine. We get 12.5 sacks, 8 TTFLs from Andrew Walsh. That is absurd. 10.5 sacks for Robinson, only 9.5 for Hutchinson. That's definitely on the low end. 9 from Ojulari. You got to start to maybe slightly worry that Hutchinson's starting to show his age a little bit. But, show his age. What do you mean? He's still 99. And it's not a brutal year. Let's just hope that's not the beginning of the end. Maybe just a slight off. Interceptions also up across the board for the defense. Very happy with that. So we get to kick our feet up, but we get a very tough role in the divisional round against the Dallas Cowboys, who got Micah Parsons, who had 33 sacks this season. Absolutely disgusting as the Cardinals look for the first win of the Juan Ramsey era. And we get it over a very good Dallas team, 31-23, setting up a championship against the 2-seed Saints. But look at the tail of tape from this matchup. We had to come from behind 17 to pull away in the second half. 300 yards, 2 touchdowns for Ramsey. Get some rushing touchdowns there, over 100 for Marvin Harrison Jr. Trey McBride gets on the board with a touchdown. Defensively, 2 sacks to Aaron Robinson, 1 from Aiden Hutchinson. You'll love to see it as we're moving on to our first NFC Championship. And at risk of entering territory of our most talented rebuild team with no success, we got Arch Manning. Hey, we did this rebuild already. Arch Manning's the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, 39 touchdowns, only 2 picks, the #1 offense in the league. This is a burner. It'd be frustrating not to, get this Super Bowl burn a year, but that is a very good Saints team that we just beat to make our first Super Bowl, 28-21 on the back of Hutchinson, who's heating up, and Juan. I want to keep saying Jalen Ramsey. Juan Ramsey, 3 touchdown performance. The standard. The standard is 3 Super Bowls to become a dynasty, and if we're gonna do it, we have to win out. Year 8, Year 9, Year 10, and it starts right now against the 10-7 Jags. Very good team. 88 overall. You look at how it's made, though. Just solid offensively, defensively, kind of middle of the mall. Our ranks severely trumped them. This needs to be a win. And you know how we cash it in? Get the webcam back up, turn the super bright lights on my old man eyes. We get 3 opportunities to hop in, but I don't think we're going to need a whole lot of them. With our 15-2 juggernaut squad, this should be our first Super Bowl. But opening drive, Jacksonville marches down the field, gets the first touchdown, but we respond with a sack in the red zone, having to settle for a field goal. Jags settle for a field goal. It's our time to get a touchdown. It's a turnover. Moment too big for Juan Ramsey right now. A lot of back and forth, a lot of not great opportunities to hop in. We do get a touchdown. We need a defensive stop, which we don't get. Oh, brutal. Well, shout out to Jags for ruining an opportunity to make this into a dynasty. And honestly, we've not done a 10-year rebuild yet where we haven't won a Super Bowl. We are going into year 9, still looking for it. Brutal. We lose this. Unless they ran the ball incredibly well, this is just a brutal loss. 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. So Trevor Lawrence didn't turn the ball over. They had 2 rushing touchdowns on 19 fucking yards. What? Malik Neighbors went nuclear, but hey, Burrows was right there with him. Harrison went off. Both our big-time players stepped up. Like, they had 3 sacks to our 0, and they had the only turnover of the game. See, I guess thin margins, an edge went to their middle-of-the-mall defense. Brutal. Just because we're losing some of our longer-term players, let's appreciate what they did. Griffith as just a complete X-Factor role player. 4,000 yards, 32 touchdowns. Receiving, it's the end of Trey McBride, 6,200 yards, 42 touchdowns. And defensively, Mr. Ojulari finishes his time here. 488 tackles, 100 TFLs, 58 sacks. All right, so we were told before the draft class this year was going to suck at running back and tight end, the 2 positions in need. But I think we got some guys here. We got DeMar Bowen. Letter grades, at least, are passing the eye test. 2nd, 3rd round. So he's going to be, target for us early on. Vert jump's good. Elite jumping, elite strength. Speed's not brutal. So I think that's probably going to be our running back pick. Tight ends, this is the position we scouted. And I'm glad we did, because I would have saw the A's and B's on Francois and drafted him early. 3rd, 4th round talent. I mean, the combine is dog shit. At least we get a 1st rounder here in Adam Morgan out of Oklahoma State. 3 B's and an A. A in catching, 6'6", 4'5" speed. Not brutal. I always kind of feel like there's a tight end here, though. It's like we're missing. My gut says, who are we missing? Who's the guy in this group that's like, that's the freaking guy? But look at how it all kind of lays out. I think a perfect draft. We get Morgan here in the 1st round, and we probably are going to need to trade up to get Bowen in the 2nd round. Okay, I'm literally simming through every single pick to be like, all right, as soon as the first tight end goes, probably need to trade up. I'm going to hope. It looks like our tight end's going to be available. We're getting very close, though. Couple picks for him to survive. 1 more pick, please. Oh, thank God. Here we go. I say that thank God, like this guy here still doesn't look like an absolute slam dunk. But we will trust our scouting. Adam Morgan. Come on with the dev trade. Don't be normal. Let's go. Now we got to make sure we get that running back. All right, first running back just went off the board. I'm not going to mess around. Let's get this pick. All right, so we're going to trade. And it cost us a lot. It cost us our 2nd and 3rd this year. And then I threw in our 3rd. For the year that doesn't matter for the draft, so it kind of helps us out here. But this is really our last pick that we need to make anyways. My board is pretty much shot after the selection, but we're going to hopefully get ourselves a nice hidden dev running back, DeMar Bowen out of Louisville. Letter grades look pretty good. Combine, not the best, but also not that bad. Here we go. There's our role player running back. We don't even really need him. Like, I'm acting like we need a running back. We probably could have thrown anyone in there, but at least we get a guy here with a little bit of upside. So looking at our draft recap, very happy with our picks. Morgan, 73 with a dev trade, 75 in a dev trade for DeMar Bowen. We got a 71 corner here in the 4th round out of San Diego State, just for a death move. But, hey, can't ask for much more than 2 dev trade players that can contribute right away. So week 9 in year 9, 7-2 sitting atop the NFC West. And, yeah, playoff failures, yet to win a Super Bowl. Cost ourselves the opportunity at dynasty status last year. We can still finish strong with 2 Super Bowls to close this one out. And I don't think there's much room for debate that we are the strongest team in the NFL this season on paper. With $59 million, we got contracts. See who wants to run this full rebuild. We still got our generational punter still hanging on here, but 59, we gotta prioritize our stars. I definitely want Darius Robinson to run the full rebuild. Oh my God, so much money though. I don't know. We got to find a way to make that work. Dempsey. Oh, my God. I mean, we can get both of them, I think. We'll be able to... Oh, Jesus Christ. I think we'll be able to get Dempsey and Darius Robinson. But we are going to be losing Monroe, our starting linebacker. We should be able to draft one. I wasn't going to pay him anyways because he's getting paid contract demands. He's not getting paid by us, but his contract demands of an edge rusher is mad and stupid. All right, we gave $400,000 more to get Dempsey over the line. Next up is Darius Robinson. If we give him $6 million and 28, come on. Come on! Give another $500,000 on his base contract, and Darius Robinson is signed. They're going to do the full 10 seasons here with the Cardinals. And it goes on year 9, exact same record as the year before, 15-2. Number 1 offense in the NFL, top 5 defense. But I got to say, I mean, at least of yards, averaging over 320. Got to be up there with some of the best numbers we put up all freaking rebuild season. Juan Ramsey runs away with NFL MVP with staggering numbers. 5,400 yards, 54 touchdowns. So I believe that equals what we saw Dak Prescott get earlier. There's probably year 5, year 6, somewhere in that range. Dak had a 50 bomb. 50 for Juan Ramsey, only 3 interceptions. Insanity. Carlos Burris wins Offensive Player of the Year with Ramsey and Marvin Harrison rounding out the top 3. Quarterback of the Year goes to Juan Ramsey. Running back of the Year goes to former Cardinal running back Trey Benson, who's crushing it now with the Saints. Wide Receiver of the Year goes to Carlos Burris, Marvin Harrison at number 3. But in what has got to be, I would say at worst, at absolute worst, it's like right up there with the best quarterback season sim we've had in any of these 10-year rebuilds. I'm going to say it's the best. Maybe that's recency bias. Rushing numbers not the best, but I mean, 13 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards. We'll take it for how much we are throwing the football. Burris had 2 rushing touchdowns, 103 catches, 1,800 yards, 27 touchdowns. Marvin Harrison with 1,800 yards and 14 touchdowns. 110 with a long of 94, 108 with a long of 74. Absurdity. And we almost had 3,000 yard receivers. This is a god squad. But Burris, who has earned the right to be our best draft prospect in Madden 24. Better late than never. With the best receiving season shocking. Absolutely shocking numbers. And that's almost like that. This is just something that happens to sim. The exact same for most passing yards in a single season. We have tied to the number Peyton Manning. One behind all time. There we go. Dak. Dak did have 54. That was with the Cowboys, I'm pretty sure. Maybe it was with KC. Maybe that's why he hit that. Was ridiculous. Receiving yards, Burris is 3rd all time. And in the same season, 6th all time by 2 yards is Marvin Harrison Jr. For touchdowns, shattering Randy Moss's record, Burris sits atop with 27. And hey, Marvin Harrison Jr. last year with 21. Big respect. He's kind of looking this year. 130 for Marvin Harrison Jr. making the list. A little bit behind his old man. I'll tell you what, this is all for naught if we can't go on a run. So we got the Saints here. Like, imagine we do this, we just lose. We don't win any Super Bowls. We put the greatest sim offense I think we've ever fucking had. And we got Dallas standing in our way, but we handle business against Saints 23-15 with Darius Robinson. 2 sacks. Earning that new contract, that final contract to retire a Cardinal. I hate the Cowboys as much as anyone. You got to give them respect, though. Almost 90 overall across the board for a sim team is pretty damn impressive. They have very good defense, pretty much a top 5 defense. But I just don't think there's anyone that's going to stop around. But then again, our prolific offense, 23 points. At least we go and flex our muscles here a little bit, winning 38-31, getting back to the Super Bowl, hopefully to avenge our demons from last year. And look at that, Ramsey with a 450-yard, 5-touchdown performance. This offense, we're going to take the name for the Rams. This is the greatest show on turf. So the Super Bowl has been set, and it is the 14-3 Chargers, 1 seed in the AFC against the 1 seed in the NFC. We have the number 1 offense, number 5 defense. They have the number 8 offense, number 15 defense. So this should be a matchup where our offense is way too much for the Chargers to contain. You know the rules as well. I know the rules. We had 3 opportunities. We can hop in if need be, but I really hope our offense is just so much of a juggernaut that I can come in and score like a nice little to say we were there touchdown, but they handle business. And we're up tied 7-7. Our defense, not the hottest start. Again, Chargers defense, middle of them all. We have arguably the greatest offense of all time. And we're struggling to keep up here. This is brutal. Oh, it's... All right, year 10. Unfucking real. Unfucking believable. All right, with our final first-round pick of the rebuild. Free agency was absolutely butt cheeks. We only had like $10 million bucks. We need a linebacker. Looks like a terrible draft class for linebackers. You can literally count on a hand, if you only had 3 fingers, how many linebackers had A-zone coverage. that we saw here to potentially draft. Peter Bell, one of the better looking prospects out of the U. B pursuit, B coverage, has elite speed and acceleration for the position. It's kind of leaning that way because, I mean, we just need a linebacker. We scouted Joe Moody as well. Top linebacker prospect at Michigan State. A block shed, B pursuit, B tackle. Doesn't only have the C-zone coverage. Combine, kind of butt cheeks, if I'm being honest with you. But also, not too often, the top linebacker's not good. Might not have a dev trade, but I feel like that might be our safest option. I did scout a couple corners here. J.D. Chambers, a top corner I did scout, still on the board. A with B. Combine, pretty good as well, but I just don't need... I don't need a corner. So you know what? We're going to screw it. We're going to grab a linebacker. Joey Moody. Let's go. So for our draft recap, we did end up getting one of those cheesy nose tackles with a dev trade, Stan Woods out of Miami to add some D-tackle depth. But the big get, needing a starting linebacker, we found one at pick 31 by the way of Joey Moody out of Michigan State. 75 overall with a dev trait and fairly prototypical of a linebacker. Like to pick everything outside of the coverage. Usually I avoid players that don't have great coverage. This is the one time where it was just a really weak linebacker class across the board. So you kind of trust your blue chip talent. And we got ourselves a nice day one starter for year 10 as we try to avoid our first 10-year rebuild that doesn't get us a Super Bowl. There we go. The longest in any other 10-year rebuild that we've done that it took to win a Super Bowl was year 8 with the New Orleans Saints. We are here in year 10 with quite possibly the best offense we've ever built. And I say built because we only inherited 2 players. And that's even a stretch because Marvin Harrison Jr. technically was, hasn't really existed yet. We got Paris Johnson, Thorne, Pittman, Bennett, Campbell, 2 superstar linemen. Homegrown. Right? A little bit of a role player. Tight end had Trey McBride for most of it. Solid. We've had a kind of return style of elite to great running backs, but we've never used them. Because the offense runs through 3 people. The quarterback, and we have Juan Ramsey coming off a 50 touchdown season. 54 to be exact. The highest I think we've ever seen. For sure in the 10-year rebuild cycle. You pair that with the man in the thumbnail. The man that inspired us going and rebuilding the Arizona Cardinals 10 years. That was the selection and the hype brought to this franchise with the selection of Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first round out of Ohio State. He has been simply incredible. When we get a recap of his stats, it is going to show, without a shadow of a doubt, a bona fide Hall of Fame wide receiver. And then, is there going to be too many mouse fees? I don't care. We have, better late than never, the greatest draft pick in Madden 24, at least on this channel. And if you haven't seen a better one anywhere else, I call bullshit. Carlos Burris, 6'6", 230, 99, 97 speed, 97. I mean, he's starting to get a little bit older right now, but like as generational, as terrifying. And him and Marvin Harrison Jr. go on and create maybe the greatest duo we've ever seen. I was hoping, hey, can we beat Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden? And I think we've beat any combo. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle currently. All time, Marvin Harrison Jr., Reggie Wayne, better. Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald, better. Who else? Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, better. Etc., etc., etc. We have built this, and we have no Super Bowl to show for it. This is absolutely insane. Defense, we signed Aiden Hutchinson early. We got Robinson and Walsh. I don't really know what's going on there, but there you go. We've drafted insanely well. X Factor, X Factor, X Factor. Weaver and Humphrey, X Factor's out the gate. What we're actually going to do here is we're going to move Seymour to be our starting strong safety. And then we can bump Seymour down for Agnew, who was the auto-drafted first-round pick that we are blessed to have. But, I mean, you look at this team. We got Moody. He's also going to see the field. These 2 are going to be our primary linebackers. We drafted a goddamn generational punter. Like, we have done everything right to win multiple Super Bowls. And here we are, year 10. Honestly, this team should go 17. Do what I did in the Cardinals franchise. Go undefeated in the regular season. Go undefeated in the playoffs. That is how we should finish this off with a team this goddamn good. And we finished year 10 as good as you could expect. Number 1 defense, number 2 offense, 14-3. Another NFC West championship, giving us 4 in a row, 4 total in the rebuild. Juan Ramsey has won a second straight NFL MVP award, alongside Marvin Harrison at 1, Carlos Burris at 2 for wide receiver of the year. And the numbers are godlike. 5,100 yards, 52 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. We have broken this game. We have found the lethal combination that will never be beat. 1,015, so we have the best rushing offense we've had this whole rebuild. Marvin Harrison Jr., 132 catches, 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns. 15 and 16 for Carlos Burris, 9 and 15 for a jobber. Just goes to show, well, all due respect, that's not bad. 79 at 24 years old. That's a pretty good, that's like a good wide receiver 3 in the NFL. He absolutely ate. Tight end with 590. Defensively, Dempsey with a bunch of tackles, 3 picks, 21.5 sacks, Aiden Hutchinson, 13.5 on 22 TFLs for the beast, Darius Robinson. 7 sacks for Thomas, 6.5 for Walsh. 4 picks for the X Factor Weaver. Interceptions down just a little bit, but man, oh man. God team, God offense. And we are going to look at the stats of all these, what these guys have been able to accomplish this whole rebuild. But look at that, Ramsey. Back-to-back seasons, 54 and 52. It's his era. But in 4 years as a starter, almost 20,000 yards passing, 185 touchdowns, 25 picks for Ramsey, who's easily on an MVP pace for the rest of his career, honestly. But 2 MVPs, needs the Super Bowl, though. Obviously, didn't really have Bowen that long as a running back, but looking at the receiving numbers, Marvin Harrison Jr., over 1,000 catches, 15,000 yards, and 136 touchdowns, 11,000 yards, 104 touchdowns for Carlos Burris, the GOATs. I mean, these guys are still going to be playing together. They are starting to slow down. Burris is regressing, but, I mean, these guys are going to play another 5-6 seasons each, and I would say Marvin Harrison, in particular, on pace to break. I mean, they both could do it. But I think Marvin Harrison, if we could just, finish up the sim, might be able to catch Jerry Rice for some of those all-time numbers. Defensively, Aiden Hutchinson split time with the Detroit Lions, obviously, but we signed him early enough that's like, he did enough. 160 sacks, and that's great. We got 108 and 170 total TFLs and sacks for Darius Robinson, who's been an absolute monster for us. Very much appreciate that. Interceptions, Joey Weaver, X Factor with 12. Oh, no, man, that is something I have noticed as of late. Interception numbers are down in the sim, but kind of is what it is. But, man, oh, man, I don't think we're ever going to see, like, a homegrown duo like this. First round, we get, very difficult role with the Dallas Cowboys. Top 5 offense, top 10 defense. Micah Parsons has been an absolute animal, as he usually tends to be. I've seen him go over 30 sacks, but luckily he is starting to get old, starting to slow down just a little bit. We handle business with a 6-touchdown performance from Ramsey. We gotta run through the NFC East if we want to make it back to a 3rd straight Super Bowl and not be a Buffalo Bills and choke and lose them all. It is the New York Giants, 13-4, 90 overall, which is S tier for a sim CPU team. We have very good rankings. They have almost as good. They're the number 4 offense, number 3 defense. This should be an absolute banger. One that if this is the end, this is where, thank God, if this was where the streak ended of no 10-year rebuild, not getting a Super Bowl, I'm going to live with it because that was a goddamn God squad. We got 2 touchdowns, $140 for Burris, as it is 3 straight Super Bowls for the Arizona Cardinals. And what stands between us and glory is Lamar Jackson and those goddamn Baltimore Ravens. Look at the Ravens, it's what you would expect. Maybe honestly, the defense kind of dog shit. Really good rushing offense, good enough to give them a top 5 overall offense, but their defense ain't great. And I will be absolutely shocked if we can't win a Super Bowl with this fucking super team we've built. Alrighty. Come on, man. I mean, it would almost make it stand out more if we don't win a Super Bowl, because then you'd be like, sometimes it just doesn't matter. But there we go. Arizona strikes first, but low scoring. Our potent offense not taking this game over. But we're going to come in one of our 3 times. We just got to see what the hype is. And let's go. Okay. Mind if I do double slant, top of the screen, burst in the slot. I mean, we're going to go one of these guys on the left side. Inside a burst. Gets absolutely jacked up. So not everything's automatic. Sometimes face a little adversity. Play action, deep cross go. He's going to run out the back of the end zone before I can even get this. This might actually have to be a check down to the running back. We get to the running back in space, and it's still not good enough. Okay, we're going to go back to the slants. Come on, Marvin. Come on, Maserati Marv. Get it to him. Let's go. Maserati Marv. And that is a huge second touchdown for the Arizona Cardinals before halftime. And of course, we just fucking give up one touchdown in under a minute. Oh, so brutal. Okay, the Ravens are not going away, and now we're fucking losing in the blink of an eye. This Cardinals team wants to find a way to be the most... Like, it's like if Peyton Manning and the Colts never won a Super Bowl. There we go. Just what is 37 doing? Let's see if we can break an ankle here. Burris breaks the ankle. So that was when you're 6'6", 235 pounds, 97 speed. You make people look foolish because you are probably not human. There we go. Go for it on third down. Get no points. 4-point lead. Baltimore marching down the field. We are now trailing. Why is this so difficult? This should be an absolute cakewalk. Yet we had to cash in all 3 opportunities to potentially have a chance. That's a terrible throw. And it's now 4th and 10 for the super offense. The greatest offense, maybe in rebuild history. Back-to-back MVPs. Back-to-back 50 touchdown seasons. Back-to-back where the fucking first and second best statistical wide receivers are on my team. There we go. Go to burst. Keep it continuing. They don't even let me fucking play the touchdown. 2 seconds. What do you want to do? Watch this. Darius. Get out of here. Got one. We got one, baby. It might have taken 10 seasons. It might have taken literally a offense built in a lab. That would probably be like, like in the NBA, the commissioner will sometimes like veto trades because it's just too overpowered. Like that's what would happen with this on-field problem. We're like, no, there's no stopping it. Get it out. Release a patch. Update your game, EA. This offense is too good. That's what we were able to build here. And it's honestly pretty bad, pretty disappointing that we have one Super Bowl to show for it when all is said and done. This should have been something, but again, live and let learn, right? We stuck with Kyler Murray. Probably shouldn't have. And it kind of, in a way, goes to show that, like, yes, we switched to the Vikings playbook, but still had its limitations. You had to find the right combination. Which, I will say that what we just saw here offensively is something that I hope we see in Madden 25's franchise mode. Because, regardless of draft presentation updates, regardless of, create a team builder coming in, which is badass, the biggest issue facing franchise mode is that the sim and the playbooks are tied hand in hand. This right here is what we need to see. I shouldn't have had to switch to the Vikings playbook to have this type of offense. I have a 99 X-Factor quarterback. I have the 2 scariest wide receivers of all time. They should dominate. Absolutely dominate like what we saw. Now, not every time, right? Not every single time. But when we have the whole offense, it's a 97. I have a 97 overall offense. That is the greatest offense Madden's ever seen. There's never been an offense in a Madden game that's that good. So that should be a game-breaking offense. And that's what it was. But the fact of the matter is, if I take this same 97 offense and we were going with, I'm not taking a shot at the Niners, but 49ers have a pretty shit offensive playbook in the sim. If I put the Niners offense, same team Niners playbook, my quarterback's getting 29 touchdowns. Like that in itself, that is something that has to get remedied and fixed ahead of Madden 25. But for today's video, a Super Bowl 35-31 MVP won Ramsey. This is how you do it. This is how you fucking rebuild. This is how you do it, baby. Banger. So that will do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the God Offense rebuild as much as I did building it. Best rebuild I think we've done in a minute. Love the adversity. You know, usually it's a complaint that I have because technically for keeping score, I should have won multiple Super Bowls. This should have been a dynasty. But we had adversity. Took us 5 years. In seven seasons, we had one playoff win. No divisional titles. And then finally, we got that missing. It was Ramsey. We got ourselves a stud quarterback. We drafted incredibly well throughout this rebuild. Pittman superstar and Campbell superstars out the gate. We drafted an X-Factor running back who'd come and gone. Marvin Harrison developed. Ramsey developed. The GOAT draft pick of all time at wide receiver developed. Defensively, Humphrey was an X-Factor out the gate. Weaver was an X-Factor out the gate. We stuck with it with Robinson. He developed into an absolute menace, an absolute stud. Fuck, we just drafted another superstar linebacker in Moody. So we, like, every little facet of this kind of came together with us. And I hope you guys did enjoy it. So if it is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. We are getting very close to 170,000 subscribers. I think we're very close to 169, which I like. You know, I get the memes and I appreciate the memes on 669,000. But the goal, it's always trying to eclipse more and more and more. And I would love to hit 170 before Madden 25 season, before college football 25 season, where things are just going to go absolutely nuclear here on the channel. Hope we're having a big time season, big time year. I'm ready to put in the work, as I always do. But I appreciate it just by you guys stopping by, just for you guys hanging out and seeing this offense. What a rebuild, what a video. Thank you very much. And until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out, love ya. Have a good one.